no strangers to being alone. We're not perfect, we're just trying to find a place to rest our bones. Could it be you I can run to? Could it be you I can run to? Could it be you I can run to? Could it be you? searching for you. I'm searching for
All right, 1 second. Let me lower the volume of the music. Okay. I think that should be good. So it's time to start. Time to start. Here we go. Oh, dude, I need to like zoom in on that 1 second on the window capture. Need to make it a little bit bigger, it seems. If you guys will bear with me while I do that. Or at least cut that down. Okay, that should be good. But in any case, it's time to start. So welcome everybody to episode 5 of the Chillest podcast. We're already in our 5th episode. It's kind of crazy. Time flies. But in any case, episode 5's topic, as you guys may or may not know, is called streaming. Starting, being a public figure, and self-motivation. So this is a very interesting topic, I think, not only to Twitch streamers. Hold on, a little bit of drop frames going on. 1 second. Sorry for the buffer. Sorry for the buffer. Come on. Okay, we're good. We're good. Sorry about that. The buffer just there. Anyway, I think this topic is not only just for Twitch streamers, but also, you know, your day-to-day lives. If you've ever had to give a class presentation, project presentation, anything like that, you know, it requires what we're going to talk about today. Just our experiences with being a public figure, having to do things like perform and entertain, because that's what streaming is, and also public speaking, because as a streamer, whether you realize it or not, you do draw on public speaking skills. And so as a streamer, I think that's really, really relevant. And even if you're not a streamer, I think this will be of interest to you in general. So as usual, whenever we do our episodes, we do a brief round of self-introductions, especially for those of you that have never met the rest of us. And so, you know, and plus for this episode, we actually have 2 new members to the team. So they're actually below me on here, on the stream here. So blue and green, wow. Actually, it's really funny. So we have, you know, Codex Reaper and Avalon Star, the newest members of the stream team, actually. And of course, some of you have seen Tashnar and Spoonie before. But in any case, if you haven't, we are going to do some self-introductions right now. Starting, we're going to go, I guess, clockwise from me after I start. So I don't know if you guys have the stream up, the stream order. I mean, the video order is different from what you see on your screen, FYI. So it's going to throw some people off. But so first off, I guess, I'm Snowlit, if you don't know me. I am the creator of the Chillest. That I am by no means like the ruler or anything. Everybody is an equal on the team with me. And we are, well, I enjoy variety streaming, and I play a lot of variety games, specifically lots of Dark Souls and Skyrim recently, and Overwatch, as some of you may or may not know. And I stream 6 days a week, and I focus a lot on a positive community and just creating an environment for people to feel like they belong, which actually all of the Chillest has that characteristic as far as their communities go. So if you like my stuff, you'll like everybody else on the team, guaranteed. So, but welcome. And next we're going to go with Spoonie, this way.
Hi. Well, hi, my name's Spoonie. I mainly focus on playing RPGs on stream. I love them to pieces, maybe a little bit too much. I'm also super addicted to Final Fantasy XIV, which is the MMO in the Final Fantasy series, because Final Fantasy is actually where my name came from. It's used in Bard. So I do play a lot of Final Fantasies. I play anything that's an RPG though, and all in all, I just like to have a good time in my stream. I like to have a positive community that's all about having fun, because that's what I think video games are for. That's about it.
All right. And next, give me 1 second. I want to turn up zoom on my mixer, so this is gonna collide with the overlay 1 second, because I feel like it's not high enough. Hopefully, that should be fine. Okay, we'll try that. Next is Avalon Star. Brian.
Hello, I'm Brian Avalon. You can call me both. Doesn't matter. I am a amateur speedrunner. I speedrun Mega Man 2, but like the original Mega Man series, and variety streamer, RPGs, Dark Souls, pretty much what everybody else here streams. And professional designer of 11 years. Formerly worked at Twitch. I also have, my community also has that, you know, tight-knit, very meme-heavy sort of feel to it. So if you like your good old memes, or, you know, like to poke fun at a streamer, then I'm your guy. Not awkward. I'll get better. Public speaking, right? Public speaking.
There you go.
Not
There you
how to do it.
I
No.
feel awkward talking about myself, so don't feel bad.
Just didn't go that way.
Okay, next is Reaper.
And so I'm Codex Reaper, variety caster. When I started doing variety casting in August, I think it was. Yeah, in August, I was used to do just a whole bunch of single player games. So started with Fallout 3, and then went into Metal Gear Solid, did a whole bunch of games like there, went into, you know, Fallout 4 recently, got into Dark Souls, actually courtesy of Snowlit. And it's entirely her fault. Entirely, and I've loved it. I was currently doing that. Changed it up a little bit recently. Started doing some Destiny. Was interested in trying something a a little bit different. So I'm doing Destiny right now. Just got my first level 40 character. Looking at getting into World of Warcraft when that drops in August. So I'm kind of trying out some MMOs. Really liking it. I focus on highly interactive chats. I love just having conversations with my viewers about life, talking about the game. Just kind of like a kind of a radio sort of program is what I have. Just got that relaxed, chill vibe.
Okay.
Sweet. And then next is Tashnar.
Okay. Hi. So I'm the only one here today from the UK. This is very late. I started out as a variety gaming streamer, and I've moved more to creative. I love it. I'm a little bit obsessed, but I again focus highly on community interaction and being awesome with you guys. So I do play some games, but they generally link to the stuff I make as well, so that I get a bit of both going on. And here I am.
Cool. So at any point throughout the stream, if you want to know or get a link to, other people on the episode, you can always type !podcast in chat. It does have a 10-second cooldown, so be careful about spamming it. But at any point, I mean, you should follow everybody on the team anyway. But if you're curious about who's who, the podcast command does have everybody in order on the screen, as you see, starting with Tashnar and going left to right, top to bottom. So if you want to know, who's that guy in the bottom left corner, then you just !podcast, basically. But yeah, so diving right in. Again, the topic today is starting streaming, becoming a public figure, and self-motivation. God, this is the longest title we've had for an episode. I can't remember all of it. There you go. But in any case, yeah, we've never had a title that long. So,
and self-motivation. There.
Words are hard. Try to use them.
So that said, we're going to start out with starting streaming. So this is of interest to those of you that have thought about streaming or wanted to stream and you don't know how to begin. We're going to share our individual experiences and kind of give advice, more or less, especially if you're looking to start. So our first question is, think back to when you first started streaming. Did you start with the intention of keeping it long term? What equipment or hardware did you start with? I.e., did you start with a webcam? Did you have a green screen from the get-go? Did you buy extra audio equipment? How did that work out? Feel free to let us know. People can chime in as needed.
Well, I'll start. I actually had a massively potato PC, and I don't know how it ran OBS. I honestly don't know. I had like a webcam, and I kind of knew I was wanting to stream, so I bought a headset, bought that, and I ran my PC into the ground and had to upgrade it. That's pretty much how I started. Didn't have like a green screen or anything. I already had a webcam from the stuff, so just jumped right in there.
Others? Avalon? Brian?
Oh, okay.
I'm going to point out the awkward one.
Well, I actually had a little bit of a different journey into it. I did start streaming a little bit back in 2012 when I wanted to be, like day 9 and be a StarCraft shoutcaster. Left it for about a year and a half, but when I started being a variety streamer, I had it was a pretty Spartan system. It was just a headset, Astro headset, C920 camera because I had already had it, and a Mac with boot camp because I had sold my gaming PC before I started streaming to a friend. So yeah, it was pretty. I didn't get like the green screen and stuff like that until like about a year and a half, 2 years later.
For me, I literally started with a bed sheet that was able to somehow work as a blue screen behind me. But I did have a PC. I'd actually done things on Twitch for about a year and a half, just casually. I started Variety in August of last year, but prior to that, I was just streaming a card game, Hex Shards of Fate, and I was doing that. That was how I got my toes in the water and enjoyed it, but it really wasn't going much of anywhere, and I wanted to see if I could try something different. So for me, I went down to RTX 2015, and actually happened to meet Kira Corellia there. She had a panel on streaming, so that's what I saw her, and then I saw a panel with that Mrs. Violet did as well, and so information I got from those two was awesome, and that started me going down the variety path. And so I had a computer, had a single webcam. I didn't actually have a sitting desk. I was using a standing desk at the time, so I would have these 3 or 4 hour casts of standing up the whole time, which it worked. But webcam was so-so. The lighting was interesting. Most of my stuff is borrowed. My dad did he did a lot of video work, and so this is his blue screen, and I'm pretty sure these are his lights I'm borrowing too. So I'm able to put it together. And you know what? It works. And that's how I got started.
Cool.
We have
I mean,
a ginger command because no one knew I was ginger with my webcam. Sorry, Spoonie.
Nobody knew I was a ginger with my first webcam either, but that's probably I literally started streaming with the most potato setup. Well, I was still streaming off the laptop that I'm using right now, but I had no dedicated lights. Our table was facing a different direction, and the webcam was actually facing me, and then behind me was the bed. So I had a Super Mario Brothers blanket that I hung up from the ceiling every time I wanted to stream so people wouldn't stare at my bed. And I think I had the bottom of the barrel Razer gaming headset for sound. But it worked. People obviously stayed, or some of them did, so.
All right, and then I guess my experience, well, for one, I didn't actually start with webcam. I had wanted to stream, but I didn't have a desktop until I finally built one in October of 2014. And so when I found out my computer could handle streaming, that's when I was like, hey, why not give it a shot? And a month later, I discovered a game called Warframe on PC, and ended up diving into that game and deciding to stream it at the same time and showcasing my, I guess, learning of the game. And it kind of stuck. And like I said, I didn't have webcam, and all I had was a headset, a Mad Catz headset, Freak 5 I think is what it was called. And all I had was just the gameplay and maybe the most recent follower's name in the corner. That's really about it. And so I actually ended up getting partnered without webcam 2 months later, and then finally decided to get webcam in August of last year. So it took me almost 1 full year to finally decide to go with a webcam stream, and we can talk about that if people want to talk about what it's like having webcam versus no webcam. And other than that, not much has changed. I did add a green screen when I decided to go with webcam, and only just now am I upgrading my lighting. I used cheap $15 Walmart lights from August until literally this week, when I plan to get the other softbox, courtesy of Brian, who actually recommended it to me. I think you're using the same softboxes, right?
I am.
And you're still using them. There you go. So that's super exciting as far as hardware upgrades for me, or equipment upgrades. Other than that, not much has changed hardware equipment-wise for me. So still using the same computer. But other than that, thinking about upgrading.
I totally didn't answer the first part of the question, which was whether or not I started with the intention of keeping streaming.
Oh, none of us actually answered that.
I didn't. I started streaming because I wanted to beat Final Fantasy IX. It's my favorite. And I would always get to the middle of an RPG, maybe get stuck, and then get distracted playing other games I wanted to play. Come back a few months later and be like, crap, I don't remember what I was doing, where I was going, or how to even play this game, and have to start over. So I get frustrated and not finish it. And I started streaming thinking, well, maybe if one other person even is watching this, wanting to see the end of the game, that'll motivate me to play it. And it did. And I just liked streaming so much, I kept streaming other Final Fantasy games I wanted to beat.
I was doing a whole bunch of gaming anyway, and I felt like I'm really lazy at typing. So my idea was, I will make my friends watch me and type to me and I can just talk. Also make some friends along the way, but the main thing was the not typing thing.
That's a legit strategy. And it worked. You don't have to type that much.
I don't
All
have to
you
type.
do.
Indeed.
Right.
She's emotes. All emotes.
Exactly. That's all we ever need.
Emo only mode.
Even only mode, right? That's
Yes.
all we need. It's all the world needs.
It's about 4 a.m. That's all I talk in chats. Just you'll figure it out.
Right. My hardest problem is realizing that when I'm texting my friends on my phone, I don't actually have emotes to use. I'm like, this.
Snowed up.
It's like I can't send Kappa to denote sarcasm. Kappa, you failed me.
I just all the times just like you didn't get the milk.
Why?
I need that, you know. It's not enough to have the face drop. No.
Yeah, exactly. When I started doing streaming, I mean, obviously I was starting from basically not nothing, but really small. But when I started doing it, I did want to find a way to make it happen, and I knew to do it long term. And I realized that I couldn't, put all my eggs in that basket, obviously. But years prior to me doing that, I really discovered kind of content production on YouTube first by discovering people like Total Biscuit and Markiplier. People that, two very different examples, but people that were very good at what they did and really had a voice in the industry. And I thought, this is cool. I love games. I love performing. I love speaking. This is something that I think I could do, based on things I've done before. And, it didn't take very long for me to figure out that, this streaming is something that works, that I really enjoy doing, that works with, skills that I've worked on, just for fun, and then also more on a serious end, which we'll probably get around to later. But I wouldn't say that I started, with the idea that, yes, I'm doing this full time. I know exactly how I'm doing this. This is the only thing I want to do. It was more of a feeling that, I think I really like this. And I think I would really like to find a way to turn this into something bigger, turn this into a job or into an avocation of some kind.
That was a good one.
And
Well,
Ryan?
I think it was a little different for me, mainly because I started streaming variety 2 weeks after I joined Twitch. So I have this. I've been in the web industry for 11 years now. So I have my preconceived notions about how I want to build a product or help build a product. So I'm like, well, you can't really understand what you're building at Twitch unless you stream. So I'm like, I always kind of wanted to get back into it. So it was my way of getting into it. And then streaming just kind of swept me off my feet, and people were coming in. I was starting to get really close with a lot of broadcasters and viewers, and they would see the wrench to be like, oh my god, hide the weed, or oh my god, it's staff. And it was a great way to just say, like, I was able to come back with, hey, these are my firsthand experiences about being a broadcaster. This is what we need to improve. And it really helped, the decision making from the design team to be able to know what, I was going through, and what other people that I would get close to would tell me, because everybody would complain to me at that point, because they're like, oh, your staff, let me complain to you about this. Nothing that I can fix, but hey, I'll still push it forward. Oh, look, staff, hide the weed. But that's sort of, I would always say to people that, I'd always wanted to be a broadcaster. I was always a broadcaster first to them. I was never, staff first. So, leaving Twitch, doing this is sort of, it was my 2 to 3 year plan. Like, I would stay at Twitch a little bit longer and then go in and then try full-time broadcasting. But hey, here I am, and take it in as long as we can go. But I think from the beginning, I was gonna just have fun with it and use it for research.
Well, for me specifically, I did not have the intention of keeping it long term. And my community actually urged me to apply for Twitch partnership back in February of last year. That was basically about 2 months into me streaming most every day. And I did it with the kind of like, okay, why not? They urged me to. I never thought about taking it more seriously, I guess, because I was doing it just for kind of on the side, and I was in grad school at the time, so it's just kind of like, I never thought about making it full time. you know? And so when I applied, I was reading up on the process, and people were saying, you know, I got denied 11 times before I got accepted, or I applied 7 times and finally got accepted. Like, I expected denial when I applied. And so for me, I guess the realization that it would become something a little more serious and long term was when I actually got the acceptance email 3 days later after applying, and they were like, hey, we think you got what it takes. And I was like, really? Are you sure you got the right person? Because I was expecting denial, and I was expecting, you know, to have to work at it if I really wanted to make it really serious. And I mean, I'm not saying I didn't work at it, but like, it was kind of a I guess a surprise, a pleasant surprise that maybe I have something that I didn't realize I could do. Like, as far as having that entertainment capability and being able to put on a show for people that people actually might enjoy. And so from that point onward is probably when I felt like, yeah, this can become long term. But it definitely did not strike me when I first started. Because like I said, I finally built a computer that could stream, and I found this game called Warframe that I really liked, and you know, it was just kind of a, I'm going to do this because I can kind of a thing, not a because I want to become the next, you know, PewDiePie or something. That's never going to happen. But, you know, it's just kind of one of those, you know, try it because it's fun, and then hopefully it stays fun for you. And for all of us, I think it's still fun. But for a lot of us, I think it's become more than just a passing, you know, I'm going to turn it on, I got nothing else to do for the next 2 hours kind of a deal, to having an actual schedule, having a, what you can call your own business, essentially. And so I think it's really cool to see that happen for a lot of us. Any other comments before we move on to the next question? No, we're good? Okay, so we already talked about like hardware, right? Green screens, mics, computers, whatever, audio equipment. Now we're going to talk about software and streaming services. So for those of you that start streaming, you've probably heard about Twitch alerts, you've heard about Stream Tip, you've heard about all these other services that offer things to streamers to help them run their streams. So I guess the question is recommendations for starting streamers based on your own experiences. First off, what do we all use as far as alerts go? I know in Brian's case, it's different, and he'll elaborate on that. But for everybody else who are not, you know, programmers or software designers, because we're not as cool. But what do we use? What do we use? Brian,
we
love
do not
you, by
have
the
the
way.
necessary skills.
So what does everybody use?
Well, I use Twitch alerts. I've always used it, and I have Deepball, which says thanks in chat as well.
Yeah, I use Twitch alerts. When I started doing it, I only used MooBot. And MooBot, I think, maybe not just MooBot, but MooBot at least it gives you a little sound notification whenever you get followers, at least at the time it did. I don't know if they've added anything to that. But I just had that just as an alert. So whenever somebody followed me, because I was, you know, just trying to get started, so even, you know, every single follower, and I still do, but every single follower was really important. So I just got that, we call it out, I call it the name, so just something like that to let me know, oh hey, you gotta follow, bing, you know.
Well, for me, I use Twitch alerts, but for my tips, I actually use Stream Tip, and I've always used Stream Tip, and I don't know why. Even when Stream Tip wasn't free, I still used Stream Tip. But I think it's just because I preferred how much more reliable at the time Stream Tip was, because Twitch alerts like to go down like all the time. And plus they were not free. And then Stream Tip went free, and I was like, oh, even better, I'll just stick to Stream Tip. So there's that. But Twitch alerts is what I used for follows and sub alerts, and I guess I've never had hosting alerts. So, and Spoonie?
I use the same. I use Twitch alerts for my followers and hosts and all that kind of stuff. And then I use Onkbot for all my bot-related stuff that goes in a chat.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Deepbot. So Snowbot, it was the bot you see, my bot, she's a Deepbot based. Sorry. Okay, then we have Avalon Star, who is a little more complicated, in a good way. And I'll let him elaborate.
I always, you know, again, I kind of self-taught programming and design, so like when I it was like the moment I found that OBS could display a web page that I was like, oh my God, there's so much you can do with this. And so all my stuff is custom. I have a bot that I call Synthformer, which is a play off of what Baymax is actually. Baymax is a Synthformer from Big Hero 6. So he takes all of the information, and then I programmed overlays to show it. So I have like a little sports, like ESPN style ticker at the top, and eventually wanted to kind of get that to other people, because I do have my preconceived notions about Twitch alerts and like the kind of customization options they give you. It's getting a lot better, but I still think people deserve better. So they're like friends of mine that are actually working on competitive services that are more design oriented, because we know everybody here and so many people I know are very, brand is very important. The way you present yourself is very important. It's not just this, it's also everything on your screen. So, but yeah, all the stuff I've taken many hours of slamming my head on a desk, trying to get code to work. And I'm pretty proud of them.
Yeah, I think your alerts look really good. They're very polished and very professional, which I've always admired. And should you ever choose to do commissions, I will probably be at your doorstep.
You said you just said you use StreamTip. I use StreamTip, so I already have it programmed to use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would like to, I guess, improve in ways with the alerts, but I just haven't taken the steps to, I guess. So, but it is what it is. That's really cool, though. And I guess with the whole thing is, if you have the skills, use them, which is what, Brian did, Avalon Star did, because, I mean, just because everybody uses Twitch alerts or everybody uses, StreamTip or whatever else there is, doesn't mean you have to either if you can do something better, right? And do it for yourself, So the tools are out there.
Yep.
The resources are out there, so. All right, next question is, what is your opinion? Okay, this is a very touchy-ish subject, but we're going to address it because it is an often asked question, especially for those of you starting streaming. Even if you're not starting streaming, it's still a question that, you probably get asked. But what is your opinion on starting streamers, like streamers who are starting out, who choose to have a donation/tip/monetary earning link in their info, in wherever they post it, and what advice would you give to starting streamers in this respect? This is a touchy subject because there has been recent drama about it.
I didn't do that for the longest time. It wasn't until I did not put a link on my profile until I was asked to do it. And it took about, 8-9 months of streaming before I was, they're like, why don't you have a donation link? I'm like, because at the time, I don't need it. And they're like, but I want to give you money. I'm like, okay, so put it down there. But it was like hidden. It was completely hidden. It was just a link within. It was not an image. It wasn't anything. It was just like, if you want to tip me, here you go. And so I kept it like that for the longest time. But you always have to be very aware of the game going on around you, right? And I think it's really important to be aware, and it's also important to be classy. So to answer the second part of the question, it's not if you build it, they will come. If I put a donation link there, it doesn't mean people are going to click it. You have to earn it. And I don't think I think it's, again, about being classy. It's about the presentation. It's about how you receive tips and donations, whether it be gracefully or whether you're asking people to give you money. So it's like, those are, again, for me, it's this class and being aware. Like, I only have a tip sound now because that's just the game that's being played. And now that I'm a full-time broadcaster, it's something I have to play by those rules. And so it was very uncomfortable for me to do, very uncomfortable, because I really felt like I didn't need to do that. But, I see other streamers, I'm like, you know what, that is a viable source of income. I got to swallow my pride. I got to do it. It's just now introducing that class and being like, okay, it's going to play a sound. It's going to show a little notification. I'm going to thank you. And that's it. And I'm sure everybody else has either similar opinion to that.
Yeah, I didn't put mine on either until I think I actually didn't get a donation link up until I opened up a Game Wisp account and allowed people to subscribe to my channel through there. So I put both of those up at the same time. I wasn't really concerned about it at first. I was enjoying streaming. I was getting used to it, and from my perspective, well, to answer the first part of the question, I don't think it's the personal opinion. I don't think it's wrong or necessarily bad for even new streamers to put a donation link up there. I don't. But I'm going to have to back up Avalon or Brian on this, because the game, in my opinion, changes when you start asking or opening it up for people to give you both their time and their money. There's a difference. And I think if you just throw up a donation link, assuming that people are going to, give you money, or that it's not going to be a big deal, I don't think you fully understand. Because it's not, is it super, super serious? No, but there is, I think, a degree of responsibility that you at least need to recognize when you say, hey, when people can give you money. It's, akin to offering a service or people supporting you, like that. And there's huge issues with that. I mean, somebody earlier in the chat mentioned, chargebacks, which is that's something that you have to consider, the ways it can go wrong, the challenges. So I think for me, the biggest thing that I think needs to be addressed is, are you really aware of what you're doing with this? Awareness that Brian was talking about. Do you understand how things could go wrong? And more to the point, do you understand why you want this and why you think, can you make a case that people would support you with money? If you can, awesome. But it's just something that I think you need to consider. And I don't think you need to feel like you have to rush it either. If you're doing things on Twitch and figuring out how to be a broadcaster, don't rush things like monetization. Think it through and get used to other aspects. There's more foundational things, in my opinion, more foundational things to being a successful broadcaster than monetization. And those are the essentials that you should focus on first and foremost.
Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what's already been said about it really depends on how you present it. Because in the end, if you're, like, I've seen, just browsing through Twitch, I've seen so many people just be like, they literally create text in OBS or XSplit, and across the top of the screen it says stuff like, donate if you like what you see, and then they have the link there. And it's that I feel is a little too direct, right? Like Brian was saying, yes, streaming is a viable source of income for a lot of people. And if you put on a good show and you put on good entertainment, yeah, you deserve, to be able to live off of that, right? But again, the style and the manner in which you present it, like, I don't think it's necessarily bad to have that, option for any viewers who want to support more than just by watching. But in the end, it turns out, like Brian was saying, you have to be classy about it. And for those of us, especially those of us where we're full-time streamers, this is our only source of income, then yeah, it's not a bad thing to have it, But again, how you present it and, whether or not you're straight up begging people to donate or tip or whatever you want to call it, that's where it kind of crosses the line of, man, this is kind of sketch, or kind of just gives you a bad feeling, right? And you don't want to come back to that stream because they're like, give me money, right? And in the end, like, things like alerts and thanking people for when they do tip, I think that's okay too, because in the end, they are tipping you. It's kind of like that long or often used analogy of a street musician. So somebody's playing their guitar on the corner of the sidewalk, and they have their guitar case open for you to walk by and toss, tips or whatever you want to put down in there. Twitch streamers are like that too. You don't have to stay, right? You can come, you just be a passing viewer, and if you like it, the option is there, but if you don't like it, there is no hand forcing you to put money into that case, right? So with a tip and donation link, it's the same way. I mean, if somebody decides to be more blatant about it and put, give me money across the top of their screen, that's on them. It just makes them look bad, and you don't have to say anything, just walk away. because you obviously don't want to give them that time or that money, right? But then for those of us, you know, we are making a living off of this, it's not a bad thing to have it. And again, it all comes back down to how you present yourself in relation, because whenever you throw money into the mix, it's always going to complicate everything, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which doesn't inherently mean it's bad. There's a lot of people who will say, "Oh, it's complicated. Stay away from it." No. Complicated does not equal bad. It just means you need to think through it more. And just as a note, because I'm seeing a couple of comments here in the chat asking about, well, is it okay to talk about it? Is it not? How do you do it? Don't overcomplicate things. Just step back and think to yourself about, you can think about a Twitch streamer, or you can think about just any time that you have wanted to give somebody money, or you just have, and not because you had to, like, buying food or whatever, but anytime you wanted to be generous, a tip to a waiter or waitress, or a street performer or a Twitch streamer, think about why you wanted to do that. More than likely, it wasn't because they were begging you. It wasn't because, you felt you were forced to. It was because, it can be for a couple reasons, but at the end of the day, you just really wanted to because you liked something about them. You felt that they gave you something worthwhile. I've donated and subscribed to channels because they gave me a really good laugh. They gave me, they continue to give me nights that are awesome, and I'm able to just have a good time. Or, they did a really good job filling my drink. It's really not, I can understand why, because I do this all the time. If I'm going to be taking donations or thinking about it, I tend to overcomplicate the process in my own head. But it's really, if you step back and look at it, it's really not as complex as you might think. Because all of us at some point in our life have done that exact same thing. And it's felt natural to us. It's the same process here.
I think when it comes to, working it in on cast, like if you're going to do that, for me, like do it in a way that feels comfortable to you. If you're comfortable just asking people, okay, but know the effects of that. But for me, I have what's called, I named them the sellout squad, because I'm horrible at selling myself out. I had a t-shirt and people were like, Brian, you're gonna sell it. You're going to tell people you have a t-shirt. I'm like, oh, I have a t-shirt. And you're like, Brian has a t-shirt. Like people would get on Discord with me and they'll be like, Brian has a t-shirt, or you can sub to Brian. I'm like, God. So what it turned into was like, I would make it a joke. So I'm like, oh, well, there's that really great, Dead by Daylight game, and you today can help me with that. And it's just, making it something in jest, and that like totally not wanting to sell out, but it's like, it works with the joke. And, sometimes people do it and then I'm like, why did you listen to me? But I think we all kind of share.
Why did you do what I said?
Like, why did you do what I asked you to do? I didn't know. Take it back. And but work it into your personality and stuff, whatever you feel comfortable with. I guess that goes into the larger thing about selling out. I'm horrible at it. I'm sure like people here are better than that than I am.
I don't feel like I'm good at it either.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like for donations and tips, mine's maybe a little more complicated because I started streaming technically like a year and a half ago. I streamed World of Warcraft for about a month. And that was it. And then I just didn't have time for it, so I set it aside. And people had actually donated me money while I was playing WoW. So when I started my stream back up, I was like, well, okay, people have given me money before. I'll put it there. If someone wants to donate, they can. But I never really felt like I was going to pressure anyone. Like, I think that's the biggest thing is you don't want to pressure people to feel like they have to give you money if they enjoy your stream. They can do it. They can see it if you put it there. And if they want to, they will. And otherwise, it's not a big deal. I just leave it there.
Yeah, I actually didn't. I had it already, but I didn't put it on until somebody asked me. But I did get asked in the first week of streaming. And I straight away put it into, I just bought games to give away, like immediately with it. And I think people can tell if you're, putting it back into the stream or improving what you're doing, or if you kind of are in it to make money or to save up for a certain thing. But I think it is a sensitive topic. And if you feel comfortable doing it, as we've said, it is entirely up to you. But it's class all over the way. It's I've been put off some streams where they've changed their perspective of it, and it became a pretty big focus, and it's a bit sad.
For me, I actually didn't have my donation link again until about 3-4 months in, because again, like in Brian's case, and probably for a lot of you guys, when a viewer or somebody in your community, like a regular, asks you and they're like, how come you don't have one? I want to tip, I want to support you. And that was the reason I got one, because I didn't want to deal with it. Because like Reaper mentioned, there are things like the fear of chargebacks and, you know, this and that. And like I honestly didn't want to mess with it, so I didn't touch it until I got asked multiple times. And I was like, okay, I'll do it, but the option, like you guys are all saying, the option's there, but it's never a requirement, never an obligation, and you don't want to shove that down anybody's throats either. So I guess that's the thing to keep in mind as far as whether or not to have a donation, tip, Game Wisp, Patreon, whatever link for community members to support you financially. So it's not a bad thing, basically, but the manner and style in which you do it matters. And that's really it, right? Yeah, so there you go. For anybody who's like curious, we don't want to talk too much about it because it is a very sensitive topic in general, it seems. But the idea is that, you know, be classy and be tasteful in how you do it. And in the meantime, especially if you're starting out, just stream to have fun and don't stream to try to be like, I want to make $500 by the end of this week. You know, don't go in with that kind of a mindset.
You won't have fun if you go in with that kind of
Yeah.
mindset.
Exactly.
You can't really do much in life without that
You
mindset.
go into it for money.
Yeah.
No.
So it's definitely just one of those, be sensible and look at your own situation and stuff. So that's basically it for that topic. We're going to move on to becoming a public figure, but first, this I guess is another related point as far as starting out streaming. Networking is a big thing, which we actually talked about in our previous episode. So if you want more information on or advice on networking and creating relationships on Twitch and how to grow your stream through the friendships you make, stuff like that, check out the previous episode of the podcast. I'm sure one of my mods will pull it up at some point. It's on YouTube as well as on my Twitch profile highlights if you want to look at it. I do recommend it because it's a really good topic. We're not going to touch it here, but networking is really, really important for starting out streaming, especially. Even if you're not starting, it's important like forever, essentially all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so now our next topic is becoming a public figure. So, you know, whether you realize it or not, whether you're streaming for 1 viewer, 10 viewers, 50 viewers, 100, thousands, whatever, you are essentially becoming a public figure. So when you're a public figure, you're in the public sphere. You are, I guess you could say, a celebrity to an extent, but you're not. I mean, you don't have to, you know, say I'm like Justin Bieber style. No, you're not that level, but you're still, you know, you're still up there, right? You're still
Up there with Biebs.
You're still up there with Biebs, yeah. Like you're still in the public sphere, and you are putting yourself out there as a public figure. Whether you use an alias, whether you use your real name, whatever. And so a lot of becoming a public figure, like there's a lot to it that maybe a lot of us don't realize, especially if you've never done streaming before. So I guess to dive into this, the question is, would you consider yourself, those of you in the podcast on the episode, an introvert or an extrovert? Both back when you first started and now in the present day. Did you become more outgoing as you streamed longer?
I was an introvert when I started. I'm still an introvert. I don't feel like it's changed the way I am in real life. I still get just as nervous walking up to people. Like I was actually at E3 yesterday and I basically felt like a wallflower. So no, I'm a lot more outgoing and engaging on stream, I think, than I am in person. I don't think it's changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am definitely an introvert, kind of more of a higher energy introvert, but definitely an introvert. We're gonna get to this sort of thing in a little bit, but I'm introverted, and I'm kind of like Spoonie in that if I'm out somewhere and have to introduce myself to people, I'm like, could somebody else do that part for me? Like, get me introduced and I'll be just fine. Otherwise, I have to do it. Nope. But being on the stage, like performing, been doing that for years. Love it. And like no problems with that at all. But I'm still very much an introvert, even though I, can be a performer and do all of that and kind of be, hard to say this without sounding narcissistic, being the focus, being in that spotlight, no problems doing that. And meeting people, yeah, I love doing that. But I'm not the person who will go to I don't really like parties much anyway, but I'm not the person who will actually go up and introduce myself to you. That's never really been me, to be honest.
I'm quite introverted, and I talk for hours and hours and hours, but I'm usually doing something. Like right now my heart is racing because I'm not half distracted by what I'm doing. So when I'm in real life, I'm pretty quiet. I kind of just soak it all in, and that hasn't changed very much. But I feel like on stream, you can't shut me up now. At first, I was just talking a bit, but I just don't stop.
I think it was a little weird for me because like when I was mainly a web designer in that industry, I gave talks and stuff like that. I would say it's very similar to Codex because that is a performance for me. Like I'm complete introvert. If you break the ice as I worked through that industry and right before I joined Twitch and became a streamer, like I would kind of like break out of my shell really easily. When I would go up to give a talk, the first everything like kind of formed within the first 5 minutes, and after the first 5 minutes, like all of the ice would be broken, and I'd be like Kooky Brian talking about programming and shit. But now that time that it takes me to get from uncomfortable to comfortable has shrunken a lot depending on who's around. I guess I'm in LA, so E3, the Twitch party was last night, and like depending on who it is, it sets that kind of meter to me. If I don't know them or if I'm intimidated by them, then yeah, F no, I am just not. I'm not introducing myself.
Nope, I'm out. Bye.
Like
I
they'll
felt
come
the
up and they'll
same
talk
way.
to somebody. They'll talk to somebody, and I'll be like, "I'm here." They just in my head. Go away. I'll be like, "Okay, it's fine. They didn't notice, senpai, so it's all right." But if it's somebody that is engaging in conversation, then I'm automatically like, "Yeah, let's go, hype." I can talk forever. And streaming, when bringing that to streaming, I look like an extrovert on stream, more of an extrovert, especially in the last couple of months, because I've just felt that comfortable with my stream, and it's like, why not? I'm a little bit kooky. Why am I hiding that inside? It shouldn't, So, and that's actually, it's helped me, both inside and outside of streaming. That like the performer me that used to be so far away from the actual are now almost one and the same. You just have to break the ice first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think a lot
Are
of
you
it.
at TwitchCon? Break the ice.
Yeah.
Break the ice.
I'm really fun to talk to.
He is. I can attest to that. I met Brian at PAX South. Very, very fun. Very down to earth. Very genuine. And a lot of us, honestly, are genuine people. And so, like, it's all about just getting past that hurdle of, like, oh, God, how do I talk to, I mean, actually, admittedly, I had that, too. Because I saw Code Carnage at a party. And I was like, I want to talk to him,
Oh,
but I
man.
don't want to. Because I don't
Just
know how.
tweet me.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, he's great though. But like, it's just one of those like, everybody's a normal person, honestly. However you want to define normal, but like, honestly, the fears you get of like wanting, like thinking about, okay, I want to talk to somebody. That fear that you get, that anxiety, the nervousness, like it's mostly all in your head. Because in the end, when you finally take that step to talk to whoever you want to talk to, or to overcome that hurdle of nervousness, like they probably felt the same way, or they didn't feel that at all, and it's just like super chill, and it's just you had nothing to worry about in the first place, and it was all in your head.
Right. It's
Right?
it's interesting talking. Oh, sorry.
No, keep going. I
was thinking-
was done.
It's interesting talking to, when you see people like just in a Twitch sense, like people that are bigger than you or have done more than you, and you want to get to meet them. You're like, oh, they're so big, they wouldn't know me. And you talk to them, and you realize, wait, you actually felt kind of nervous about meeting me, but I'm a small fry. What? You're the big person in the room. What? Why? And just realize, no, actually, we're both the same. Like, we're really not that different, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I just met Brian yesterday in person, and I got to meet Kira and Tess, and you guys are as awesome in real life as you are on stream, and it was just a matter of breaking that first barrier of like introvert.
Yeah, you'll always be that way, I think. I think for introverts in general, it's like we always have that little bit of an inferiority complex where we're like, the person like meeting Snowlit for the first time was like snowy hype, but also just it was tough. I always view myself as like kind of the person with the glowy eyes, like Avalon eyes or something like that. I'm like, oh my god, I hope they don't hate me, and it doesn't matter who it is.
Impossible.
How can we hate you?
Well, I mean, let's be honest though. Every single one of us is not that exact same thing with every person that we've met.
Exactly.
It's like, I really hope they don't hate me. Yeah,
I've done that with viewers.
Boy, I hope I don't turn super awkward and stick my foot in my mouth as the first time that I meet this person I've been hanging out with on Twitch for months.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I think it's the funniest when it's with viewers, because especially if you're in like a very active chat, and then you see like a mod or something like that. Like, I think the same thing that went for Snow went for Codec as well, because it's like Codec is very, very big into this community. So I'm like, oh man, what's Codec gonna be like? Oh man, what's Diz gonna be like? I've never seen his face before. It's like it's kind of weird because you just rate those people above you, and you're like, I really hope that they'll like me and I won't make a fool out of myself. And it just happens every single time.
Yep.
And I've been going to conferences for years, and it just every single time. If I don't know you already, I'm going to be in that mentality that I'm going to have to work up and kind of prove myself worthy. And it's gone, I think it's my success rate's about 50-50 because I know the exact looks. Kind of like
Avalon blank, right?
if they kind of Avalon blanket you, then it's just okay. Just
I think
abort. I'm gonna be in.
I'm leaving.
well, I think it's really interesting because like
Back up.
the thing you talk about, Brian, like streamers face that too. It's not just viewers meeting people, like just streamers to streamers, streamers to viewers even. Or streamers to people who are not even viewers. Like my boyfriend, Brian was like, "Oh God, what if her boyfriend doesn't like me?" It's interesting, right? I think this goes beyond just a streamer to streamer or streamer to viewer relationship. It's kind of just in general presenting yourself, meeting people, talking to people, and especially when it's face to face. That's where a lot of us probably, especially if we're naturally introvert, because I would also consider myself introvert, despite how much I talk on stream, and having to put yourself in I guess essentially outside of your comfort zone, because you're having to present yourself in a way that you hope that people will like. And in general, be yourself, etc. Preach to the choir. But in the end, a small part of you still wants people to like you no matter what in every single interaction. And I guess it's just really real for all of us.
I think that's really.
I'm just scared of y'all. I'm terrified of all of you.
All right.
I'm so nervous about
Yeah, see, I've met Snow and
Spoony.
and Spoony, so it's like that's fine now. It's fine, perfectly fine. And I mean, Spoony lives in LA, so we'll be seeing each other more often, of course, since it's like so hard it's so easy for LA people to see each other, of course. But yeah,
That hour
the
drive.
rest of you. Tough.
So yeah. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'm moving on to the next question because it's related. So, did you ever have stage fright fears or performance anxiety when it came to streaming? And what advice would you give to individuals who struggle with this but want to stream?
I think, especially when I first started, I used to get anxious before every single stream, and my heart would start racing. And I felt like I can't really do this. But once you get into it and you just chilling out and you're just talking rubbish, it's a bit easier. But I've always kind of been like, once I've started, I'm fine. It's just the starting for me sometimes.
I really don't get stage fright, to be honest. And now, to be fair, that comes from years of doing performance. Like I did, high school, middle school, did theater for, middle school, high school, and college did things in theater for years. In high school, did competitive public speaking, both debate and then just platform and then interpretive speeches. So did that, competed at a high level. So being out there, being on stage, getting up in front of people, I've done that. I think what I don't, it does start to unravel for me is if things go wrong, like fast. This actually happened one of my recent streams where twice in the span of 2 minutes, I accidentally deafened everybody, and I'm like, oh, okay, no, everything, the entire stream has now gone to hell, and I'm not even, 15 minutes in. But starting, not really. It's when stuff goes wrong that's where I'm like, oh, okay, this is bad. Now I'm starting to feel the pressure. So yeah.
I think for me it's reversed. Like, I never really, I have, what I've learned with stage fright is that I actually get myself nervous before, like, say, a big talk or something like that, and then use that to kind of push myself forward. But now, since I don't really have that nervousness anymore, it's more like I go in full force, and then the audience takes one gigantic brick wall and places it in my face with their Avalon blanks, of course, and it's just like, I fucked up. It's like, I hate that feeling. I hate that. It's like that. It goes with the, meeting people in person too. Is like, I'll be completely outgoing and I'll say a few things, and then I just killed it. I just completely killed the conversation. I just stand there like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Oh, how about the weather? And
How about the
yeah,
traffic?
I hate that feeling. I'm getting that right now. It's just like, I'm just good at acting out that feeling of like, oh, I screwed up. But yeah, that's how it's kind of reversed that. And sometimes what that does, unfortunately, is that I can't always feel completely free. And I think streaming has helped me with that, is because like chat, I can like look at somebody saying, something sarcastic and look at it and like, oh, they liked it, even though they totally forgot a kappa. But I can test stuff out without having to see their faces, and it definitely helps. But yeah, reversed for me.
I used to get nervous, especially when I first started streaming. I would get the same thing Tash was talking about, where I would get nervous before I would start up every stream, but it eventually went away. And I kind of agree with Avalon and Brian that streaming now for me is a place where I can be free to be myself, because I've established a community that seems to like me for me well enough. So I can say something that may turn out to be a little bit awkward turtle, and they'll just laugh at it usually. They're like, oh, that's just Mooney. That's just her being derpy.
Well, for me specifically, I think it's interesting because of the whole thing with me starting out as a non-webcam streamer and then going to webcam, because I think the webcam makes a huge difference as far as like whether you get nervous or get anxious or anything like that. And for me, when I first started out, since I didn't have a webcam, it was just my voice, the, I guess, nervousness, the anxiety beforehand, if it was there, it went away quickly. Because, again, it's just my voice. They're not watching me. They're not, it's different when people don't have to, like, see you and stare at you and kind of almost judge you in a way, because they can see you, right? And so, at least compared to just voice only, it feels more self-conscious. And so, the interesting part is when I finally did go to webcam, and I do webcam every day now, it was all over again. Performance anxiety, nervousness. Like, when I did my first webcam stream ever, it was actually a 24-hour stream. I got so nervous. Like, my palms would get sweaty right beforehand, and like, you know, I took forever to set up my webcam. Like, just making sure the angle was right and the lighting, and I mean, we've all been there, right? Setting up webcams because you want to look presentable, you want to look your best, quote unquote, and so, you know, that anxiety came back when I decided to take that move to go to webcam, and I mean, now I'm used to it. But before, you know, those first few webcam streams, I was always just really kind of on the edge of my seat and sweating bullets almost, and it was just it's interesting being able to relate back to that now in hindsight, because it's so real. Like, even though I had been streaming for at least by that point 8 months, you know, I had been streaming wasn't new to me, but I guess when you're having to again step out of your comfort zone, that's where you start getting nervous, you start getting anxious and things like that. And as far as like how to get over that, what do you guys think?
Well,
Or how to overcome it?
I'm
Not
playing with this
necessarily
right
get over
now, so that
Yeah.
I'm not freaking out. I'm just doing this.
I move my legs a lot on my chair. It helps me not be as nervous.
I don't know if you guys have been noticing that I just be moving back and forth. Like, that's why I love the standing desk, because I can just like move around and stuff like that. But to your point of webcam, no webcam, I actually now pick depending on what kind of experience I want. Because I used to just do no webcam because I didn't want the lights on and I didn't feel like it. But chat receives me differently if I have my cam on versus if I don't. And I actually act differently if it's just my cam. And like usually if I don't have my cam on and it's just like, hey guys.
That is a magnificent picture of your back, sir.
Welcome to the cat. Yes, that's my staff shirt. Isn't it lovely? And actually we were playing Dead by Daylight, and we were doing role play, and I had to, you know, it was my turn to play the killer, and I actually like had to be off cam to do it because I felt too self-conscious that if I was on cam, because my wife always tells me like I could never be an actor because unless I'm in a comedy, because I'm always smiling. I could tell you to your face, I'm going to kill you, like I'm going to murder you, but I will have a smile on my face, and it just doesn't sell it. Yeah, so it's like in order to sell that, I need to turn my cam off, and then it produces a whole different experience. Then it's like Brian looks like he's having a really fun time right now. It does not compute with the scary stuff I'm hearing in my ears. So.
See, for me, I just accept that. I'm like, look, there's no way that I can actually be serious about this, so I'm going to kill you. And I'll just own that. I'll just do it straight. So, going back to Snow's comment, and somebody, I can't remember who, but somebody had asked about, in the chat, do you really need a webcam? Objectively, no. There are plenty, I've seen plenty of partnered streamers out there they don't run a webcam. So, I mean, the long and short of it is, no, you don't. You don't even need it to be, you don't need it to start in Twitch. You don't even need it to be successful in Twitch. You don't need it to get to that level. It all comes down to, I think, first and foremost, the comfort of the streamer. Are you comfortable being on a webcam? Because if you are, there is an element that a webcam brings that is missing with streams that don't have one. I mean, that's just true. It is. Personally, as a viewer, I love seeing the caster. I love being able to put a face to the voice. I love being able to see their expressions, personally. That's, it's not a turnoff to me if a stream doesn't have one. I just miss certain things about the streamer, and that matters more to a greater or lesser degree to certain viewers. But I think the biggest thing comes down to, if you're comfortable with a webcam, do it. Find a way to embrace it. If not, don't even sweat about it. Don't bother putting up a webcam. Don't even think about it. Don't even mentally prepare yourself to do it eventually. It's not a step on the road to progress. It is a tool that you can use that could benefit your stream, but it may be completely unnecessary. And if it would actually make your stream worse, then don't. Stay away from it.
We have an interesting question here, by the way, sorry to cut in, from Much Awesome Wow. What about streamers facing or looking directly at the camera to better connect with their audience. Some streamers just place a cam facing them at a weird angle. I find this interesting because I'm one of those people that don't look at the camera. Have you guys noticed that?
Yep.
Yes.
Brian,
Yeah.
please.
I don't do this often. Am I more interactive yet? It's like, it just, yeah.
See, for me personally, I feel that, yeah, you have that connection, like, yeah, she's looking directly at me, she's talking directly to me, but I feel awkward as hell when I look directly at the camera.
See, I actually place, like, this is my main monitor for creative stuff, and I place chat kind of underneath the webcam, so that when I'm reading it, it kind of looks like I'm looking at it.
That's
Because-
smart. I didn't think of
And then
that.
if I'm saying like a big thank you to a specific person, I will look at the webcam, but sometimes I forget where it is and I'm looking over here. I've been looking around like, that's not the right webcam. This is the
Yeah.
I think the extremities are a little weird because I've seen people do this, and it's kind of like,
Yeah, I don't.
it's like
I
here,
don't.
Don't go
profile.
profile.
It's like,
Don't go
okay,
profile.
nope, no,
Hmm.
totally.
I have mine
Yeah.
slightly off to the side, and I do sometimes look at it like for really specific things. Like if I don't know, sometimes I'll just do something and try to be really creepy, and it's creepier if I'm looking at the camera. So,
Right.
but otherwise, like I'm looking exactly like this because this is me looking at my computer, and then I look over here for the chat. So like my
Mhm.
eyes are still visible. You can see the expression in my eyes, but I don't necessarily have to be staring at the camera.
Yeah, I think that's what's important. As long as they can see your facial reactions. I mean, somebody mentioned if you stare directly at the camera for an extended amount of time, that's when it gets creepy.
Yes.
Versus glancing once or twice.
Well, I mean, that's been the case in video media for years. I mean, look at documentaries, for instance. Look at anything. Hi, Spoonie. Look at anything. Like, I mean, even in movies. I mean, in any time that there is a camera, it is so rare for people to actually look at the camera. A person speaking on stage, they're at an angle. I mean, it's actually really weird. It can be weird or intense when a person looks straight at the camera, talking directly to the audience. You can, I think, again, it comes down to personal preference and what works. For me, I will normally be looking one of two places. I'll be looking here at the game on the main screen in front of me, over here when there's the chat because of my two-screen setup. And if I want to acknowledge somebody personally, then I will. I treat the webcam kind of as a window to my audience. I don't want to break that window that often, but if somebody comes in and acknowledges me or host or whatever, I'll just glance up there and acknowledge them there, you exist. Then I go back to my main thing.
I use it as another just point, like what I was doing before, just staring at the camera. Like there was a point where there are certain people that would annoy me, like purposely annoy me, and then they would be like, "Oh, Brian's gonna give a look now," and I'd be like,
I love it.
Like that's with such a purpose.
and yeah, so it's a purpose, yeah,
For specific.
I think that's the big thing. It is
Effective.
purposeful.
yes, yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I do. I purposefully look at the camera for things like that. Otherwise, I'm just mainly just focusing on game. Chat's
Yeah.
usually here. Camera's high enough that I could not do
Well,
that.
let me ask this question. Do you guys have your cameras propped on your monitors, or are they on tripods, or what?
Mine's on my secondary monitor because
Same.
Mine's on I guess it's a tripod. It's like kind of like a GoPro arm, kind of placing it in the middle here.
Mine used to be on my main monitor, but now I've changed my setup for creative. It's on my secondary, and I have my other camera like on a microphone arm. So
Interesting.
I love the creative. I love the stuff that creatives are doing with creative streamers are doing with the multicam stuff. It's so
Cool,
fun.
cool.
Now you don't want two angles of my face.
My webcam's actually on a tripod, which Diz got for me for my birthday, I think it was, like a few years back, and I didn't use it because I was into photography at the time, and I had a DSLR camera, and that was what it was for, but then I never used it, and then I was like, hey, I could use it for the stream. So it's actually on a tripod behind my desk, but kind of between the two monitors, so my camera isn't on either monitor, it's kind of in the middle. So it gives me kind of this kind of a neutral-ish angle rather than being on any one side, if that makes any sense. So there is
I'd
that.
like mine to move, but I don't know where to put it.
So I don't know. That's a suggestion. It's interesting. I was wondering because I mean, I've encountered that where, like, you know, I did put it on my monitor and I was like, I don't like this angle.
Yeah, I mean, I have changed the angle of my camera probably 3 or 4 times before I finally settled on one that I felt like was the right angle and the right amount of into my face. And, you know, just like if you don't like what you have, you can always play with it.
It's true.
Yes.
Yeah, my monitor's on a riser as well, so it's actually like higher.
Oh, there's that too. Yeah, that makes a difference. If you put it like what Tash said, and put on a riser, that actually changes quite a bit if you put a webcam
Yeah, otherwise
on
if
the
it's
monitor.
here, I just look creepy. It's just weird. It doesn't look like me.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I use a GoPro because this is how my camera usually looks. It's
Oh man.
it's a wide screen, right? Because
The
I
fisheye.
wanted the whole fisheye torso thing. Since I'm in the middle, it doesn't look weird. And also I have the moving desk, so it's like I can't put it on a.
Nice.
That's so fancy.
I can't. So I can't put it on a I wanted to put it on a tripod, but I couldn't. So
That's cool. I didn't know you could do that.
experimenting, like you were just saying, I take way too much time on it.
I once heard of someone using their phone as a webcam, actually.
Yeah, and like
So
I guess it depends on the phone you have.
Depends on the phone.
Like,
I mean, iPhones can give.
a legit camera
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like a DSLR?
detail. Yeah, like a DSLR.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen
Set it
those.
up at one point because you can see better detail of things.
Yeah, well, there you go. You could do that. All the options.
DSLR on my face. New details.
Now, if only I had the money.
Well, moving along. So public speaking and streaming go hand in hand, as streamers often improvise what they say and how they say things, almost like giving less formal speeches constantly throughout their streams. Have you ever struggled with the improvisation part of streaming? And what advice would you give to those who want to become streamers but may struggle with speaking? I'm going to start this off because you guys have probably noticed within the episode itself, I stumble on words here and there. I try to improvise really smoothly, but it doesn't go so smoothly sometimes. And basically, one thing I would say though that helps is to talk slow. Because when you talk faster, that's when you're likelier to stumble on your words.
I never
From my
talk fast.
experience.
Never happens.
From
Never
my
do it.
experience.
police had told me I talked fast, just like, but I've gotten better at it. My English is generally trashed here, so. But again, it's like I take these different things that are trashy, and I try to make something out of it. So like my chat will, you know, they'll mishear something. Like what were we talking about? I was playing FF14 before this, and you know we were talking about if I was using the hunting log, and one of my regulars was like, I had to look at the chat because I swear you said honey log, and then I'm like, did I? That happens at least like once or twice a day. I say
Same thing happens to me, and then I'll start saying things and like for Final Fantasy 14 in specific, I swear I'm like 6 years old because the dungeon finder is called the duty finder, and I just can't stop laughing.
Yeah, you just
That sounds about right.
So, like, for advice, I would say try to make your personality a shtick. And like, if you're kooky and have bad English like me, then do it. Then just laugh at it. Be able to laugh at yourself because I mean, you're looking at a camera, you're looking at chat, you're looking at text flow and a glass lens. I mean, you're gonna want to keep yourself entertained while you're doing this because unless you're on a podcast, it's just you talking. You're literally talking to yourself. I wonder what my wife thinks all day of me. Like I'm yelling at the cat. I'm yelling up here, and she's like, "What's going on?" Because she doesn't know what I'm responding to. So yeah,
It does the same thing.
Yep. So you know, if you have a very light personality, work with that. If you have a very outgoing personality, work with that. Just test it, right? I've changed my shtick or very slightly over the course of my my streaming career, and it just what works, what feels comfortable. So yeah, I'd say try making your personality a shtick and work and have chat work with that, because chat's always looking for a good meme. They always are.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, shtick or style or whatever. Like for me, I just go with kind of a straight, almost radio-esque, straight delivery sort of presentation. I'm not the crazy animated one. I'm not I'm not Spoonie. You're not going to see me dancing around the stream all the time. That's what you
Actually
right
pretty cool,
there.
by
Is
the
the
way.
most
I would like to
dancing
see
you'll
that.
ever see me do on stream.
finger
probably
dance?
Ever. But, and so, I'm not, I don't use. I mean, sometimes I'll talk really fast because stuff is happening and I'm trying to fit everything in all at once, and okay, I just died again. That sort of thing. Just try to jumble through that. But I'm not, for me, that's the style that I'm comfortable with. It's more of a straight, I can have vocal animation in the delivery, but it's kind of more of almost a straight man-esque presentation. And that's just that's what I'm comfortable with. That's what I've adapted to. And over time, that has, I'm continuing to refine it. I mean, if I looked back at, presentations that I did when I started doing variety casting, still have some highlights that I could refer to from that era. If you look at like the earliest highlights that I have on my channel and look at my most recent broadcast, you're going to see changes. You're going to see differences as I get more comfortable with pacing and timing and bouncing back and forth between the audience and between the game. Word usage. I mean, my my brother, who comes in and he listens, he told me the other day, Codex, dude, you say wrecked all the time. Pick different words. I'm like, oh, I had no idea. So that's, it's an adjustment. And there was this thought train was going somewhere. Oh, it's struggling about, improving streaming. I struggle with it. I mean, I'm used to it. I accept that that's what it is on streams, but there are moments when it's awkward. There are moments where it's like, I should be talking. I don't know what to say. I'm having to think through what I'm saying. And, everything just kind of collides mentally. But that's only going to come more naturally with practice. And yeah, every single one of us is going to struggle with an aspect of public speaking. Every one of us. Or it might be the same thing. It might be different things. And that's okay. Just because you struggle with that doesn't mean you shouldn't start streaming. Don't approach streaming with the idea that, I have to have this fixed and this and all of this, done before I can speak. No, you're going to come in with foibles and quirks. Embrace those. Fix and adjust them as you can. Don't let those stop you.
Yeah, I mean, this goes with anything and not just streaming, but anytime you try at something, it does not have to be perfect every single time. And it will not be perfect every single time. Even those of us that have been streaming for years now still run into things where we're like, oh, whoops, that didn't go as smoothly, And that happens. It's a part of doing something like streaming. Putting on a show where you can't predict what happens, you can't predict what you're going to say, you can't predict how things are going to go and how the audience, how the viewers are going to receive it, So it's, in the end, as long as you keep that mindset of, it's not going to be perfect, then you'll probably be fine. As long as you're willing, of course, to improve and to realize that, if it doesn't go smoothly, what can you learn from it, right? To make it better for next time. So, that's basically it. And with speaking especially, if you can't think of anything to say, talk about the game, right?
Yeah, or I have really vivid dreams, so every now and again, if it's quiet, I go, so I had this dream.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, that's crazy.
Tell stories. This one time at band camp, come on, right?
Yeah.
No? Okay, well, maybe.
I've told people embarrassing childhood stories, and that usually makes me less nervous.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Like, well, if you know that about me and you're still here, I don't think you're going anywhere.
Yeah, that's another thing that I think Brian mentioned earlier. Being able to laugh at yourself is going to help you so much.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're going to do something that you won't even realize. Someone will think it's funny. And if you can't laugh at it, then you're going to stop having fun.
Yep. There you go.
The perfection thing. You cannot improve on perfection, and it's not. And where's the fun in that?
Right.
The fun is in the improving. You can't improve anymore. If you're not growing, then it's no longer fun.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, treat public speaking and talking during streams as that. Like, if you find you stutter every so often, practice off stream. Like, go in front of their mirror and just talk. I know it's going to sound weird and it'll probably make you feel weird, but stuff like that, making those small efforts will pay off in the end, because you'll start to notice, the more you do it, the more you practice, the more comfortable you get, and the more natural it feels. Because when you first start streaming, it doesn't feel natural, because you're like, I'm talking to myself kind of in a room that nobody else is in, right?
Yeah.
And you're reading text on a screen. It's definitely, it takes a little bit of getting used to. And hold on, I'm watching OBS. It's yelling at me. Why? Stream, Twitch, internet.
Uh-oh.
There might be a bit of buffering. Okay, we're good. We're good. It's back.
What you Twitch?
It's back to green. It's been doing that here and there.
Wait,
But anyway, hopefully that probably cut out when I was talking. But what was I saying? Train of thought. This happens to me all the time on stream too. I lose my train of thought. Does that happen to you guys? You lose your train of thought mid-sentence
Yeah. All the time.
while streaming?
At least once an hour.
Oh, it happens.
I remember like half an hour later, I'm like, oh, so yeah.
So yeah, there's that,
Right.
right?
What I said.
Right.
Someone,
Horrible short-term
one
memory.
person will remember.
Right. What's that line? It's either from The Office or Parks and Rec. I think it's from The Office, where I'm pretty sure it's The Office, where the line goes, "Yeah, there are plenty times where I just start a sentence and then I try to see where it ends up." That
Yeah,
happens
well, there you go.
all the time. Half of the time when I'm talking, I have no idea where it's going to go. I am literally making it up and reacting to what happens, which for me is part of the fun. I start a sentence, and for all I know, halfway through, I'm just going to start getting nuked from orbit. What am I, in the game? It's like, how do you respond to that? And I think going to what people are, to the other half of the question, where if you struggle with speaking, or if that's not really a strength for you, what do you do? The first thing to acknowledge is, Twitch is public speaking. So if you want to do things on Twitch, you're going to have to get better at that. There's no way around that. But there are a lot of different strategies. It can range from doing practice streams or actually starting streaming and getting used to it. It can involve, practicing in front of the mirror. As somebody who trained or who did years of public speaking, just practicing, so much of that, it can be awkward, it can be weird, but there's a lot of different strategies. If you wanted to, heck, if you had the time and the ability, if you wanted to, go to like a community college or junior college or whatever and take a public speaking class, or look up things on YouTube. There are so many ways that you can work on that. Don't think of public speaking as something that, even if you've never really worked on it before, honestly, it can be a lot more intimidating to a lot of people than most, academic studies, but it can be tackled just like the rest of them, with strategies and techniques that you can improve on. So don't see it as an obstacle. Think of it as something that you can get through. And there's so many resources you can go to. A lot of free resources. If you want to take a class, go do it. But you don't even have to do that. Just the internet, Google, YouTube, so many resources that you can find. And don't be afraid to ask people either, in life or online.
Or your favorite streamers.
That too.
So very good advice there. And the last, moving on to the last question about becoming a public figure. As a streamer, you're putting yourself out into the public sphere, whether it's for one viewer, 10, hundreds, thousands. I said that earlier. What advice would you give to starting streamers in regards to balancing what remains or what becomes public and what should remain private? So again, this is all about becoming a public figure, because not everybody's comfortable putting everything out there, right? So, some of us, most of us, have an alias. Like, we don't even use our real names in our streams. So, even our real first name, rather. So what do you guys think? What advice, experiences? etc.
If I was starting out now, I don't think I'd use my real name because I know a bit more now, and I think, especially because I live with my family and that there's young children, it's something that I have to be very aware of keeping myself and my family safe, and sharing. But I'm really quite honest about stuff I do, like, oh, so I went to a castle today, or, you know, but I am very vague about certain things. I feel like personally I do share a little bit more than I possibly should. And it's a lesson that I am keeping aware of. And I am totally not calling Natasha, that's not my name.
Well,
Yeah, Brian?
I don't know. I think I'm a bad example for this. 'Cause people, if you had a scale of public and private, like most people, like which hand was public? Public and private.
Are we just talking about
In this scale, people are here, right? I'm over here, like, and I'm always, which is why, like, it's easy for me to say the person that you see on Twitter, see on Facebook, see on Twitch is the same person you'll meet. I do not hide anything. You just search Brian Veloso on Google. Have fun. I've ever since I got into out of college, I worked for Facebook, and like ever since that, I was getting into the web industry. And the thing with the web industry is like everybody uses their real names. It's like we don't have handles to use because we're meeting each other and networking all the time. There's not that sort of anonymity to hide behind because you're interacting with people on a daily basis. So like I was always comfortable just completely being out there, and I don't know, it's like I know in the back of my head that one day it's going to bite me in the ass, but I don't kind of look at it that way. Like everything I know right now, everything that hasn't been said will not be said, but I mostly say I'm a public person. Like I don't mind if you know my first, my last name, who my sister, my parents are, because I feel a bit of pride being able to share those things with people because those are parts of me. Like I am not, you're only seeing a quarter of me if you don't know who my wife Jen is. You're only seeing half of me if you don't know who my family is or where I've come from. So I've always been very comfortable sharing that with people. So I try not to, I completely understand and empathize why people are on this end of the spectrum. It's just like I never was kind of raised in my adult years to be that.
Very interesting perspective. Because I don't think we've had anybody on the team that is as open, which is not bad at all. But it's interesting to be able to see that because we have talked about public versus private before on past podcast episodes. So it's very interesting to see that perspective from someone who has lived and continues to live through a more public, open brand. So I think that's really cool.
I feel it's actually very self-serving because now that our lives are so online based, it's like you still need that kind of connection. And when I started going to therapy last year, I started posting YouTube videos about it. It's like I'm literally spilling my entire self on the internet and letting people wade through it if they need to find a piece that lets them help themselves. Like I'll get messages, people like, oh, I looked at that video, you talked about self-worth, and that helped me out. Like, okay, it helps somebody. It gives me, it fulfills that reason that I want to do that. Lost my train of thought, but yeah, I would consider myself very unique. I'm probably one in about 10,000 broadcasters on Twitch that is that public with their life. There hasn't been a point where I'm just like, stop, no. You can't go there. That door's locked. Not yet, at least.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the reality is there's a lot of people. I mean, on Twitch and YouTube, we talk a lot about protecting, your name, and there's a lot of people that do that. On the other hand, you have, a number of content creators. Brian, you're one of them, and there's plenty of others that are more open about their real name. And for most on Twitch and YouTube, we kind of have it easy because we can come up with those pseudonames. Most people that are public figures, actors, be that Stage Boys movie, anybody who is a public figure, they can come up with a pen name, sure, but for all intents and purposes, there's a lot of real names and real information out there. And certainly, I tend to play that a little bit closer to the chest. I'm not as worried about it. Part of the thing for me is, I'm interested in doing more content production than just Twitch. I've talked with my chat about this in the near future, expanding into things like audiobooks or voice acting. The reality is, if I do that, I can't register as Codex Reaper professionally. That's not going to work. So that's, how do you handle that when I have, these twin identities? There's people that find that. The way I approach it is, once it's out there, something's out there. My advice to anybody talking, in the discussion about what stays public and what stays private is, don't be afraid to start off really conservative as far as what you let other people know. That's a safe way to play it. Don't freak out if other stuff comes out. Don't panic. But just accept the fact that, if, real information, once you say it, once it's out there, it's not going to go away. And if you're all right with that, go for it. Totally fine. Just recognize, again, it kind of goes back to things we've talked about in other podcasts and what we talked about with monetization. Just think through what you're doing and recognize that there are going to be things are going to happen from your decisions. And if you're fine with what's going to take place after, letting your real name out, okay, go for it. Nothing wrong with that.
I guess it's just based on your personal comfort level. And, some of us, want to be able to draw that line. And some of us, are more open, which I don't think there's any one wrong or right way to do it. As you guys know, for me and for Spoonie, we don't even use our first names. I don't think you do either, Reaper, right? In your stream?
No, I don't.
So we keep that.
My new name's never attached to my stream.
Yeah, so we keep that private. And so, is that bad? No. Do you have to do that? No. I mean, it depends on how you feel. And it depends on, I guess, how open you want to be with your community. Because, there are concerns about safety and, being stalked or anything like that. There could be some dangers, associated with revealing too much. But at the same time, I guess it's more about being sensible and being, I guess, exercising whatever level of caution you feel is best for you personally.
Mm-hmm.
In the end. I've seen some streamers that give everything, their name, where they're located, where they were born, what school they go to, because some people are, some streamers are in university or college, and they even post in their info, I attend this school and this is my major. If you want to reveal that, it's up to you. For me personally, I feel that's overstepping a little bit in terms of my personal privacy.
I'm in on that too. I let people know, I live in Colorado. I think I've even said I live in Denver. Never getting more specific than that. And even then, I'm really fudging lines, to be honest. Just because, saying, a city or a state, that's one thing. But you're not, or because it's the capital city. Anything more than that, I don't release that information. And for the record, I don't release that type of information anywhere. I guess a good rule of thumb is if I wouldn't want a specific bit of information anywhere on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, anything, or just a forum or whatever, it's not going on Twitch. So things like my address, straight out. Phone number, not even touching that. Even the exact, specific area of Colorado that I'm in, nuh-uh.
Does anyone here have a P.O. box?
I do.
I wish I had.
Same, yeah. If I had one, I wish I would be using that, but I don't.
I'm just wondering.
I'm getting one, but it's going under my friend's name, so it's going to be in a different town.
Well, there you go. Yeah, for me, I have a P.O. box, and for me, I got it in a place that's not where I live.
Yeah, they couldn't do that for me. We have to put it in somebody else's.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Pain in the butt.
What about you, Spoonie, on your P.O. box?
I mean, mine's far enough. But I also don't mind people knowing that I live in LA because it's such a big place. Like, I can say LA and there's literally no way that you're gonna figure out where in LA I am.
Exactly.
Like I said, I know 3 girls with my exact name. So
Oh, first and last?
worried, but
Oh,
yeah,
that's
first
cool.
and last name. So I'm not like massive worried, but I'm keeping it super vague, and I don't say where I work or anything. I'm just like retail. It's retail.
Retail, yep.
It's enough.
Cool, very interesting. Well, there's that as far as personal versus private, or private versus public, sorry. I guess moving on to the last, section of the podcast. So we've already covered starting streaming briefly, as well as public speaking and becoming a public figure. Lastly, self-motivation and running your stream. So whether you're a starting streamer, whether you've been streaming for years, whether you've been streaming for, however long, chances are you've run into motivation problems. Whether that's, making yourself get up every day and hitting that start streaming button, or whether it's, getting into that mindset to put on that show. It's self-motivation covers a lot of aspects beyond just simply, sitting in your chair or in front of your computer. And so, for all of us here, not even just everybody, not just those of us on the podcast, but everybody, like even those of you sitting out there, whether or not you've streamed, you run into some kind of motivation somewhere, issues with it rather. And so, self-motivation is a big thing, especially when it comes to streaming, because in the end, nobody can force you to stream. And this is your business, this is your thing. And, if you don't stream, you don't stream, right? So basically, moving into the question, streamers are human too. And like in all other aspects of life, we struggle sometimes with self-motivation and the drive to keep streaming at times. If you've experienced phases like this, which I assume all of us here have, what did you do to get out of these ruts?
I think it can vary. Sometimes you've had a bad day and you feel like, oh, I have to stream and I have to be really happy. But I had one last week, and once I did start, I perked right up. I'd say I did have a rut last summer, but it happened at such a time that I was having a break to go camping with my friends. So by the time I'd had 4 days off, I was desperate to be back to Switch. And it was perfect timing because I was like, I need to go see everybody. And I think sometimes you need to be aware, like, if you need a break, you need a break. Don't necessarily feel bad that, you're cancelling the stream a couple of days. It's, people can tell when you're unhappy and if you're making yourself ill as well. So keep that in mind. In terms of motivation, usually it's, I can't wait to get home and stream.
Yeah, but even when things haven't been going well for me on stream, like I'm at a point where still wanting to be able to do it is a huge drive for me. There have definitely been days where I'm just like I don't want to stream. There's been, we've all had those days, and there's definitely been times for me when it's there. I think it sounds a little bit cliche, almost trite, but biggest thing for me is when that's happened, I just say, look, I'm gonna stream. Don't care if I'm feeling it right now. Get into the mode. And that's been because the problem that you have is that if you say, okay, I'm only going to stream if not the problem, more of a challenge. If I only stream when I'm feeling up to it, you're gonna have a lot of days where you're not feeling up to it, and where you can't depend on your consistency, and when you cannot build. And I'll just speak to the idea of, for anyone out there who wants to be partnered, who wants to make this a part of their life, professional or even just part-time, you will not get there if you only stream when you're feeling up to it. Nothing in life is ever going to happen that way. Nothing in life that you want to pursue, even just as a hobby, if you only do it when you're up to it, it's not going to work. And Twitch is the exact same way. And there are definitely going to be days where at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to get you on that webcam and on the game is the knowledge that, you know what, I want to do this, so I'm going to do it. And that's something that I think every streamer has to accept before they start streaming. It can be devastating if you don't prepare for bad days, off streams, or just feeling blah before a stream. And if you don't decide and make the decision ahead of time that I'm going to stream short of a life emergency, short of me puking my guts out or something else happening, find a way to power on through. Because the reality is, I have to do that a lot. I'm a small streamer. Brian and Snow, you can back me up on this. I'm pretty sure I know what your answer is, but that will not change no matter if you're a small streamer or if you're a partner when your livelihood depends on it. That never goes away. So as a small streamer, it's important to figure out how to work through that, to keep going even when you're not up to it. Because when that's where the money's coming from, when that's your job, it's important to have developed a way and a strategy to work through that and to be able to go regardless.
I would say definitely to just be smart about it. Like, obviously if you're not able to, if you're sick and throwing up, you're camping the toilet, stuff like that, then yeah, don't do it. But like, there is, I guess, the difference, I guess there is, when it comes to whether or not you're doing it for a living. That does kind of factor in with like, do I have to do it? What if I'm not feeling it? Like, you almost feel like you have to because essentially it's your job. At the same time, I think being smart about things, because I've had moments where I had to take off or suddenly cancel, and I still felt bad. It's like I want to do that. But there are also times there'll be moments in your life where you kind of have to cancel or you have to postpone, And I don't think there's any shame or anything bad with choosing to cancel or choosing to take the day off. But in the end, it's all about being smart. Obviously, if you're going to take any time off, the number one thing is to communicate to your community, no matter how big or small your community is. Let them know.
It's like when my internet went down for 4 days. 4 days.
What do you do without internet for 4 days?
Painting. Just start painting, so that's what I did. And knitting. Oh god, I did so many crafts.
So Spoonie and Brian, you guys have been quiet a little bit. Getting out of ruts of lack of motivation and drive.
I don't know. I guess for me, it kind of depends on the reason why I don't feel like streaming. If I don't feel like streaming because I've just been streaming so much that I'm maybe burnt out on a game I'm playing, or I'm burnt out on just having to be on and talking and I just need some introvert time, then I might decide to go ahead and cancel, because in that case, the stream might just not be very good anyway, and I might really need that break. But if I don't know, if it's something outside of Twitch, like if maybe I just had a bad day, I don't know if you guys have those days where you just wake up and something really tiny bad happens, but then tiny bad things keep happening, like the snowball effect. And by the end of the day, you're just like, oh my God, what is with this day? Those days, I may not feel like streaming just because I'm in a crabbier mood, but I try to make myself stream anyway, because I want to be as consistent as I can be. And I've actually noticed that a lot of the times on those days, I will get on and I'll start streaming, and through the combination of just playing video games and having a good time with that and my really supportive, positive community, that actually makes my day a lot better.
Yeah.
I've had that exact same thing. Even earlier this week, there have been, like, it happened this week and it's happened other weeks where I'm not really feeling that great. And I get into the stream, and that's what makes my night. Something happens. The people come in, we have a great night, and so often I've found that the people in my channel are the ones that make my day better. It's not all about yourself, me as the streamer. making the night for my viewers. That's part of it. That's why they come in. That's why they support you. But it's a relationship. It goes both ways. I've had nights where the way that my chat has responded to me, the way that, you know, I've been supported by the viewers, by the streamers coming in with raids or hosts, that makes it makes the otherwise crappy day awesome in just a matter of hours.
Brian? Because you've been quiet.
I know.
I know this is a big topic for you, especially recently, but...
Yeah, the team knows. When I saw this question, I look at it from a more macro view. Like I do what I do every day because it's routine, and I know my chat knows that I've had my days, and I share many very similar experiences here where I will be having a bad day going into it. I'll just, you know, within an hour, I'll feel a lot better because chat, you know, interacting with people, making connections, who knew, you know, would, you know, help to make you feel better. From the macro standpoint, I think this is weird. This is for kind of uniquely me in a way, because I did go from, you know, being a professional artisan or designer for a decade and then going to something that's just completely different. This change has been the transformation period, which is still going. I'm almost in my almost the end of my third month as a full-time streamer, and it's been rough. I won't hide anything about that. It's been absolutely rough, and I've had to learn a lot about myself. It brings out this stuff like this. Just brings out some of the most raw emotion in you, because you are the product when you're doing this stuff, and especially if you're doing it for money, you are the product. So you know you're going to question yourself day in and day out. Not about streaming, if I should do a stream today. It's more like, should I be doing this at all? And it's extremely tough for somebody who's been trying to recover from, you know, having a very bad self-deprecation problem as it is, to look at this and say, to look at your numbers, to look at the, you know, the people in chat and be like, man, and just compare yourself everywhere, and then catastrophize everything and be like, man, I don't think I can do this anymore. And the number of times I've sat in this chair, lights off, just staring, happened this week actually. They're just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like, I don't know if I have it in me. And that's the motivation that I see. It's like the motivation to just call yourself a streamer. To the people that are able to do it day in and day out, and not, you know, the people who truly cannot care about, like, disregard the numbers, just do it because it's fun. Like, I have so much respect for those people, and those people are like, I'm surrounded by those people at the moment. I know we all have our little bits and our issues and that we're working through, but like, this is totally new to me. And I guess that's why I was so quiet, because it's just like, it's hard for me to get into this, because yeah, I've recently changed to speedrunning. I introduced myself as a speedrunner because variety's kind of flopped for me. And it's hard to say that, because I always called myself a variety streamer, but you got to do what works. You got to do what keeps the motivation up. And if changing what you do completely, completely different than when I set out to do a couple of months ago, you got to do it. You got to keep the motivation up. You got to keep this alive, because at the end of the day, I want to do this. I want to keep, like, I don't want this to end. I don't want to go back to design yet. Like, I want to say, like, if I ever have to do that, I want to say I worked my damnedest to make it work. It didn't work. Too bad. You know, it's just another phase in life that you go past, but it's way too early for me. And I think that's the piece of motivation in here. That's like, I'm going to keep doing it. It's going to be fucking hard, but I'm going to keep going. And, you know, having a team around you, having people around you, having a great moderation team that I practically call my family, like that, those are the people that keep my motivation going and why I'm on this, you know, why I do this daily. So
Hugs for Avalon.
I will step off my
We all need a hug. We all need a hug.
But I agree with you though, and it's so easy to look at those things because they're statistically in front of you as a
Yeah.
Twitch streamer. all of the numbers, and I have had problems with that before.
Same.
I've gotten myself, digging myself back into the pits of depression looking at some of that stuff sometimes. It's tough to step away from it once you've started looking.
Yeah.
I can totally understand.
People say, like, they look at us and they're like, oh my God, you're doing the best thing in the world. You're streaming games. Yeah, this is the best freaking job I've ever had. Working for myself, playing games, meeting wonderful people. But there's always a flip side to that coin. And there's nothing to protect us anymore. When I'm working for Twitch, I always have like my team to go back to. I'm like, the CEO is being a bitch. It's like, okay, well, I could confide in those people like that. But when it's you and you are just there and the spotlight's on you, there's nothing protecting you in that point. And it's just like everything just happens. And if you're not used to it, like that's the flip side of this coin, is that you have to deal with all that stuff. You can't just take the good streaming games all day. When you make this a career, when you make that decision to go full time, to push for partnership, to just make something more, you get both sides of it. You'll always get both sides of it. And that's something that people don't see.
Streaming is not as easy as it looks.
No, and I'd actually like to add something on. I think in general in life, people feel like once you find something that you're passionate about, you're just going to stay 100% passionate all the time about it. But I don't feel like that's true. You have to work really hard to keep yourself just as passionate about the thing that you want to do as you were at the beginning of it, because no one else but you can. And it kind of sucks, because dealing with something like what we were talking about is the issue with Twitch. You have to battle with yourself, because you're the product. You're also the one looking at the numbers and the back end business part of it. You have to keep pushing yourself to keep going if that's what you want to do.
And on top of that, I was even talking about this. I think we were having a conversation about this actually in the team Discord not too long back. One of the things that I've looked at and kind of processed as I've been going through these struggles. I mean, I'm a small channel. I just crossed 1,000 followers, and I've got a long way to go. But in that amount of time, I've had ups and downs, challenges, times where it's been awesome, times where it's been really hard. I remember when I first started looking at content production, YouTube and Twitch, and I would look at the Total Biscuits, the Markipliers, the Brotatoes, the Man V Games of the world. I'm thinking, dude, get to that level, and they've got it. They've got it. These certain problems go away. I mean, everybody will think, oh, sure, there's going to be problems and challenges, but all of this, the stuff that you're feeling right now, the frustrations when you start, surely that goes away. No. If there's one thing that I've figured out as I've gotten to know more Twitch streamers, more partners, and more people, my size and bigger, the challenges don't change. And part of why, or not part, really the biggest reason why I am totally okay with, learning and figuring things out now when I'm small, is the fact that, should my channel, because it's not a guarantee, should my channel ever get big, should I be a partner on Twitch, the strategies that I use right now, the lessons that I learned as a small channel, are going to be the exact same thing that I do as a partner, because the challenges don't change. Snowy and I, we were having this conversation over Discord. The challenges that I face as a small streamer, looking at numbers, looking at fluctuations, partners and big streamers deal with the exact same things. And so that's really, I guess, my challenge to people who are new into streaming, who are looking at getting into streaming, is you're going to be facing challenges when you start. Don't treat those as things that you just have to get over. You're going to be dealing with those from day one all the way to the end. So find strategies for how you handle those, how you handle disappointment, how you handle challenges, and how you handle good stuff too. Accept all of those. Because what you do when you start streaming, the strategies you employ, the mindset that you form, that's what you're going to take with you. And when you're a partner, the stakes are only going to increase. That's not inherently bad. It's simply a reality. And how you handle it is going to be what makes all the difference.
Yeah, I completely agree, especially when, if you're aiming for things like partner or you're aiming for full time, that's not the end of the road. That's actually the beginning. And some people actually don't realize it. They're like, I'm going to get Twitch partnership. That's my like trophy. It doesn't stop there,
It's not a trophy. I mean,
Yeah.
you're completely right, and I think it's silly to look at Twitch partnership as just a trophy as your end goal, because there's so much more you can do with that if you really want to be a full-time streamer.
It's the metaphorical albatross.
Yeah, there's so much. And like we said, streaming is not as easy as it looks. Like some people who have no idea or have never tried it, they're like, oh, all you do is sit in front of your PC playing video games all day and people throw money at you. Like that's not how it works. And there's so much more involved, like Brian was saying, like Spoonie was saying, because we are the product and we are also doing the business portion of it behind the scenes, looking at the numbers, pushing ourselves every day to get out of bed, to turn that PC on, to hit that start streaming button. It's definitely, there's a lot more to it. And, a lot of us, whether we're partners or not, whether we're full-time or not, we face a lot of the same challenges and a lot of the same, I guess, struggles with staying motivated. And, and a lot of us actually hit these phases where we're just like, I just don't want to stream. And I myself actually have recently been like, I could just straight up quit and go get a more stable job and not, stress. Because in the end, there's so much stress involved with being a streamer. Whether it's mental or emotional, whether it's financial, whether it's whatever. There is a lot involved with it. And, when you're not seeing the results you want to see, when you're not seeing that progress you want to see, it's so easy to bring yourself down and be like, why am I a bad streamer? Why am I a bad broadcaster? What am I doing wrong? It is so easy to get into that mindset. And when those things happen, when those phases happen, you have to be the one to realize that, stop, hold on a second. I'm going the wrong way with this. And, it helps, like Brian was saying, to have a team, to have a support network, a community of people who can help you keep yourself in check. It makes all the difference. And in the end, self-motivation, yeah, it all comes down to you in the end, but it's also all these external factors that will help you, the people you surround yourself with, the friends you have, the, community you have. Don't forget them. Don't forget them. This got super serious really quickly.
They're people. Even if you get frustrated about streaming, you have to look at yourself. Instead of comparing yourself to how someone else is doing and you think they're doing better, look at what you have and go, okay, even if you have 10, 20, 30, however many people are in your stream, you have that amount of real human beings out in the world spending their valuable time with you. And that in itself is such a huge compliment.
That's something I
That's
recently
worth
learned.
it to me.
Like the way I worded it to myself was focus on the people who show up. Dedicate your time to the people that show up. Because I'm horrible. Like one of my, I think, worst traits about myself is that I kind of like look at the people that aren't there. And it's a very big source of demotivation, and it's completely in my head. Completely. Like nobody's doing this. Nobody's intentionally not coming in. I didn't burn any bridges. But like I would always focus on who's not there that day. But like telling yourself that there, especially now that I do have people I can call regulars, people I will always see, that will always say hi. Like I need to dedicate myself to the people that are there. And then, if you stay focused on that, and then people will kind of start joining that little bucket of the people who show up. And that bucket will get bigger, or it will stay small, and you'll just have a very nice, close-knit group of friends that'll be there for you every day.
I guess we can move on a little bit to the next question, because we did answer it a little bit. But so what are your current routines as far as keeping your streaming going? Like, is there a certain routine you do every day when you get up? Is there something you do specifically 10 to 15 minutes before you hit that streaming button? Stuff like that. And is there anything you do regularly that you would recommend to stay motivated with streaming? I guess I can dive into this because I kind of have an answer. Well, for one, for me, you guys may not be able to tell, but I actually work out. I go to the gym at least 4 days a week, every week. And I've done this since the beginning of January, and I still do it. And even though that's not, you don't think that's really related to streaming, it helps me a lot. Because as a streamer, especially as a full-time streamer myself, I'm in my apartment a lot. I don't really go out. I don't really have like a social life or anything. So it's I know that sounds sad when I say it.
What is
Totally thought
What
you were
is-
No, I'm just saying like stuff like that. Like believe it or not, making that trip to the gym, those 4 days a week, and just taking my mind off of everything, turning it off. Because when I work out and when I go to the gym and I run or I do the elliptical or I just straight up, whatever, I'm listening to music and I turn off my brain for those, that hour, 2 hours, whatever that I'm gone. And that helps me a ton because believe it or not, start streaming, end streaming. When you hit that end streaming button, that's not where it ends. For me. And I know for a lot of you guys too, I'm sure. I don't actually know specifics. But for me, like the amount of time that I spend thinking about my stream, improving on it, or trying to improve on it, whatever, being on social media, being a presence, goes beyond the actual broadcast. And as a result, it's kind of nice when you can finally get a little bit of reprieve and turn off your brain because, God, this brain doesn't stop. And so for me, that's working out, going to the gym. Because, for one, working out and exercising is good for you anyway. And for somebody like me who spends a lot of time sitting in a chair, it's nice to be able to be active. So I highly recommend that. If you don't already do a routine like that where you just go to the gym, or even if you don't have a gym, work out. Set aside time, 4 or 5 days a week, or even just start out with 2 or 3 days a week, and just set aside time to do something that lets you not think, if that makes any sense. As long as you're not hurting yourself, obviously. But for me, that would be working out and going to the gym. So that's what I recommend for staying motivated and stuff.
In terms of switching off, I try read books. So I have 2 bookcases over here filled, and I've got a Kindle. So whenever my brain just won't shut up, it's 3 a.m. and I need to go to sleep, I'll just get my phone out and I'll be reading on the Kindle app, and it kind of just blocks out Twitch a little bit. Because sometimes when I was thinking about desks, I was up till 4 a.m. fretting about desks. It's like, it doesn't matter right now. It doesn't matter. I want to go to sleep. I work in 4 hours. So for me, that's one that just completely, just that.
For me, interestingly enough, the process of doing Twitch itself is almost kind of the relaxation or the part of it that I look forward to. And for me, that's because I've been really a production person for most of my life. And for me, the stress of any photo production, like whether I'm doing, when I've done radio or TV stuff, when I've done live production with cameras, the stress is all the building up to it. It's the execution of it where I just love that. The process of just sitting down and, okay, we're going. And that's what works for me. What I would say on top of that is, as far as motivation, find something else about the process beyond just streaming that's tied into that. Even if it's a little thing, find something that you enjoy that adds to that. Like one for me, this might seem a little bit silly, but every time that I stream, I have a cup of coffee and or tea. And it's something that I really like. I only really have, coffee I have in the morning, but that's kind of a way of just letting go. I only have, tea at the end of the day, when I'm streaming. And so it's fun. It's a routine. It's something that's enjoyable. So it's something that I've added to the process. And of course I play music that I listen to ahead of time. So I have some music and really the drink or things that I add to my stream that I like having those little things to look forward to that are kind of a part of the process. Find out what that is for you. It can be before the stream, after the stream, or during. But for me, adding something like that, I love having my tea during the stream as much as I really enjoy doing the stream itself. It's those little things that keep me going.
Spoony. I think as well, if you get stuck on one game or one genre, it can be quite difficult sometimes to motivate yourself. Like Spoony said about burning yourself out. And for me, because I do creative, it's a little bit easier for me to change it up if I want to, like speed pearling, or Sundays I do games. So I just try something different for the day if you're really not feeling the game, and sometimes it brings your motivation for that game back.
Mm-hmm. There was a period where I was in a rut, and I was kind of frustrated with where things have been going, how I was doing, etc. And I just took one night, and I don't even remember what I was playing outside of that at the time. But I remember I took one night to play Braid. And for those of you who know that game, I played through that game once, and I loved it. And I had it kind of bouncing around the back of my head. I want to play this game again. The music, the art, the design, I love everything about that game. Took one night. It was kind of a fairly normal night. There was nothing, extraordinary about it. But the feeling that I had starting the stream with that classic intro, I mean, for any of you who have played Braid or know the music, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Just that intro music, and then I ended up completing the game. And so it was kind of a full stream run through. The whole thing was just cathartic. It was just a night that was different. It was a complete change of pace from what I've been doing. But I loved it. And it the rest of that week kind of reset for me. So it just put me, for one night, I didn't care about viewers. I didn't care about, I was literally the only person streaming Braid on Twitch that night. Didn't care. I just did it for me and anybody else that wanted to, watch that evening. And turns out a lot of people that tuned in really liked it along with me. And it was just something different. And it really helped. I'd love to be able to do something like that, again, if I'm ever at that point. I took a night for me. It happened to be a stream, and it was awesome. It was completely worth it.
Awesome. And Spoony and Brian, anything to add? Routine-wise?
Some of the things I do routine, obviously, I keep a stream schedule, and that helps motivate me to keep streaming. I actually also do the tea or coffee thing like Codex says. I actually recently have attempted to stop drinking soda, so really the only time I get caffeine is at the beginning of my stream, so I kind of treat it like a little treat that I get for myself. I get to be super hyper for at least a couple of hours, which is fun. And I don't know, as for things that kind of help get my mind off of streaming, because I also have that issue of lying awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, not being able to stop thinking about a thing that I want to do. I try to get out of the house mostly. That'll kind of help me get out of the mindset. I like to go anywhere where I can stare at the ocean, if available. And other things I do, I actually do take time sometimes to play games myself, just where I don't have to talk or anything. I can just zone out and play a game. Enjoy the music. like Overwatch. Like Overwatch, but only with friends, otherwise I get too salty.
Right.
We've all been there.
See, that game for me is Stardew Valley. Like, if I've had a really bad time, I'm like, I'll just pick up of those. It's fine.
Oh,
but I never
Stardew. Yeah, there you go.
Out of water. Hang on.
Or listen to music. Listening to music really helps me too.
Brian?
Yeah, when you guys were talking about routine, I'm like, well, I always get out of bed on the right side.
Well, there's a start.
No, I
I go off the edge.
It's weird because like I don't really have. I guess I do have a routine. Like I do drink a lot of like I drink like a little Starbucks Frappuccino coffee in the morning, and yeah, before the stream, not really. I don't really have much of a routine to speak of that's like meaningful, other than the things that just kind of happen. I've been in this sort of working in front of computers for so long now that it's like my brain just kind of turns itself off by distracting it with something else. So there'll be weeks where all I'll do is focus on Twitch, or like I really want to get my overlay done or my new ticker done. There'll be other days that I'm like, oh hey Jen, you want to play FF14, and we'll do that. The days that Snow will ask me to play Overwatch, and like it just depends, right? And nothing really routine about that. I think too, what Codex was saying with regard to routine and streaming, that's really where I fell in love with speedrunning, was being able to add challenge to like self-fulfillment to my stream. And that it became like beating Dark Souls, great. Beating things like that, it's awesome. It's an achievement. It's like, yeah, you do it once and then you move on. Getting a better and better time and as a speedrunner, like there's nothing more like addicting for me than that. And it has been, gives you that hype, and chat shares that with you if you happen to be streaming it, and it's just so it's great. It's great to have that, and to have that that just adds to the motivation. Like I'm gonna do this. We're gonna get a new PB today. Boom, and that helps a lot. PB.
Jacked on adrenaline.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Especially like when I getting to the end of a Mega Man run, I'm getting a PB. You don't like. I sometimes scream out. Other times I'm just like. The entire time, my whole body is shaking, and it's just like Wiley's down.
That's like me beating a boss in Dark Souls.
Yeah,
It's so good.
I have two modes. It's either Super Saiyan, it's Avalon Power, or it's Avalon. It's either Avalon Power or Avalon Toast.
It's always Avalon Toast.
Dark Souls, and it's definitely like I've gone Super Saiyan.
I think more like a Super Saiyan PogChamp.
Yeah.
There you go. Very good advice. So hopefully that helps some of you guys out there if you're struggling with self-motivation. Believe it or not, like Reaper was saying, some things that you can add to your daily routine can help you. Believe it or not, whether it's getting that cup of coffee or tea, or for me, going to the gym or doing some kind of exercise, something that would just help you improve your mindset going into every day, So definitely some good stuff there.
And I would say that we've kind of touched on this, but it really does help, honestly, to have something outside of Twitch to completely take your mind off of that. And that can be, I still enjoy watching YouTube, so I'll just jump on that. That's still kind of games related, but it's different enough that I stop thinking about myself. But hanging, got real people in life that I spend time with, just kind of scheduled life, social life, novelty, outside of Twitch. And of course I have passions and hobbies, things that I care about that are not streaming. And so I try to give myself fully to those whenever I have the opportunity. So I feel the danger is that, or what I'm trying to avoid is the idea that if Twitch becomes all consuming and it's everything you think about, everything that you do, even if you're spending, doing it full time, where you have to put in more time, there comes a point where it's not healthy. And even if you're doing 50 to 60 hours of work on Twitch, say you were doing that and you're doing 50, 60 hours of Twitch, there's still time outside of that you can dedicate to other things, and you should dedicate to other things, just so that you have other things to lean on, other things to invest in and find value in outside of how you performed on the screen. And everybody who is I can guarantee you that anybody who is in a performance-based industry, Twitch, TV, stage, movies, whatever, they'd say the exact same thing, to be perfectly honest. So, it's kind of my 2 cents there.
Very good advice.
A wife really helps. A wife
What's
who doesn't stream really helps. It's like, yeah. went through a lot of the, you know, that's a completely different subject altogether, is like dealing with shit when you're- but yeah, she, great way to take my mind off things, like whether we're watching Game of Thrones or, you know, any other of the shows we binge, playing Final Fantasy or whatever. It's like kind of a forced context switch. Kind of have to have that. Yeah.
I feel the same. Definitely hanging out with my husband kind of helps me switch over to not Twitch brain.
I already mentioned reading, but I also I don't stream on Thursdays because I go rock climbing with my friends, and that is every single week. And I will do that. And also I have like a variable schedule for Friday or Saturday to see my friends if they wanted to do something, and that works for me.
So you have friends that you see in real life?
Yeah, it's
Can you
gross.
climb real rocks?
Well, we do mainly indoor, but we've been outdoor, and pretty hench.
Real, right?
Friends.
Not doing anything this weekend though, of course.
Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So-
Yeah, but it's stuff like that, or things that you mold. Like for me, my perspective has been I want to do Twitch as much as I can, but I have made changes. Like there were changes to my stream based on real life, not the other way around. And again, does that change the more you do it and the more you get an income from Twitch? Sure, acknowledged. But there's still something to be said for not letting Twitch or streaming dictate every single thing you do, even if it's your job, because that can be a slippery slope to just, you know, suddenly it's everything and you don't have time for anything else, even the good things in life. The reason that I have the schedule that I have and I've made changes is because I want to do things in my life, and some of those, they gotta come first, or I'm choosing to put them first, even though they might not be around as long as Twitch, even though I might be doing it for a shorter period of time, like maybe a number of months. Still gonna do that because it's important to put myself outside doing other things and actually having a life as much as I am able.
Very wise words. Any other last minute advice that we haven't covered? Or maybe even a summarization, more or less, of like the what you want viewers to come away with, or other fellow streamers to come away with from our discussions today.
Enjoy it. Stay determined. Kick ass.
Stay determined.
I think recognize that everybody here, everybody, all those big faces that you see, you know, on Twitch, every problem that every challenge and frustration that you've dealt with, as well as all the awesome stuff too. Don't get me wrong. We talk about, you know, the challenges, but let's not forget the awesome nights that we have. We all know what those are individually. Recognize that every single person has walked that road. And I know because it was there. When I would hear big streamers or big content producers say that, it sounded trite. But it's true. That's what I've experienced in about the 8-9 months that I've been doing variety casting and talking with other people. It's absolutely true. And there's been something awesome about just having conversations, you know, some with my teammates here in the Chillest, sometimes with other people that are outside of that. I think some of the best conversations I've had have been those moments, and this is not me telling you you have to go do this. This is just me being, you know, open about this subject. Are the conversations that I've had with people, and I've said, you know, I'm frustrated with this or I'm dealing with this, and have the other person say, oh yeah, me too. Like literally, I deal with the exact same stuff. You're not the only one going through that. It's big. It's really, it's a relief to know almost. It's like I have that burden suddenly go off my shoulders. Oh, everybody deals with this. It's not just me. There's a lot of people.
Spoonie, Brian, last minute advice, or last, I guess, overall summarization of advice.
I think everybody else said what I would have said. You're not alone. Try to tell myself this all the time. These guys have tried to, you know, hammer that into my head. You're not. And I think that, you know, having that group of friends, people you can confide in to be able to help you through this journey, no matter what you're running into, the journey a lot easier and a lot more fun.
I mean, I think I'd like to say the same. You know, you're not alone. And I think one of the most important things about Twitch is making friends and having fun. And that's at the end of the day what you should try to do. And if you've done that, then you're good.
I feel like we should all get really close and stare directly at the camera now. Should we do it? Should we do it? Is this gonna be creepy time? Creepy. I've never done this before. Creepy. That was so weird. I've never done that. That was weird.
Somebody needs to gift that, please.
Well, there you go. So, moving on to our final wrap-up question, I guess. Just to break the seriousness there. So, just so we can illustrate that not all streamers fit into one mold, what is one quirky, interesting, or unique thing about you that no one would immediately know just by visiting your stream? I don't know if you guys have thought about this because I posted these questions, but feel free to chip in when you've got that answer.
I would usually say rock climbing, but I've told you already, so... what else?
What else is there? We're put on the spotlight again.
This.
Oh, books.
Ooh.
Lots and lots of books.
All right, favorite book, go. I'm asking this one. Favorite book, go.
In terms of historical drama, I would say Haunting Violet. In terms of
The question open to everyone.
everyone.
I was going for Tash specifically, but yeah.
Everyone.
The Name of the Wind.
Ooh.
I'd say Black Beauty is like ultra nostalgic. I will love it forever. I just read it when I was like 7.
Mine's a really obscure book called A Time of Angels. I don't even remember who wrote it. I read it when I was a kid and I just loved it. I don't know.
Don't really read.
I'm kind of in that same boat, and when I do, it's like some of the books I've recently been reading have been Warcraft novels, which I've liked, but those don't really count.
I had a deal with my wife that if I like for every book that she wanted me to read, she would play an RPG that I wanted her to play. So I read the entire Hunger Games series, which I liked, and then Harry Potter 1 and 7. We played
1 and 7.
That's
Yeah,
a lot of RPGs.
Wait, you skipped 2 through 6?
I haven't read 'cause, I read 7 first with her on the plane. I just kind of looking over.
Whoa, you spoiled everything.
She spoiled it for us. She already, like the
Oh.
movies were out and stuff, so I already knew all of that stuff. So yeah. Then we made the deal, and I went to the first book. And she played Final Fantasy 1, and yeah. So
Cool.
those are the extent that and stuff I had to do at school sports.
Well, I guess back to the question. A quirky.
I guess maybe that's
Hi.
Where he has the quirky thing about him.
off.
Quirky, interesting, or unique thing that no one would know immediately just by visiting your stream. For me, okay, I guess I have one. So for me, believe it or not, one eye is like almost blind kind of, and the other eye is not. My left eye is near perfect vision, and my right eye, I have to wear a contact lens on it. It's like minus 4.75 or something. So it's pretty kind of blind. So I do wear a contact lens, but only on one eye. So when I buy contact lenses, they last like twice as long. So that's the unique thing about me that you guys probably didn't know.
I did not know that.
How obscure do you want us to get with this?
It's up to you. Whatever you're comfortable with. You don't have to tell anything you're not comfortable telling.
Right, how obscure are you?
Talking about it's like how obscure. I like to say this. I'm Justin Timberlake, and it's not for any reason that you probably know. If I may have 5 minutes on the floor.
Go for it. Are you
Yeah.
going to sing?
Have any of you seen The Social Network?
I have not.
Yeah.
Yet.
The movie The Social
Oh
Network.
yeah.
Facebook, right? So
Yeah.
I there's a part in the movie that Sean Parker, who's the president of Facebook at the time, Mark Zuckerberg, who's obviously the founder of Facebook, are in a club, second floor in a club, and he's like, Mark, this is gonna be so awesome. You're gonna have business cards that say, "I'm CEO, bitch," on them. I came up with that phrase. I designed Mark Zuckerberg's business cards. So I and Justin Timberlake.
It's pretty cool, though.
Whoa. And nobody would have known.
No, nobody would know. No, whenever I kind of draw, I worked for Facebook. I was a second designer at Facebook. No, I did not get in on the IPO because I was axed from the company for being good at my job. But yeah, that said, yeah, I designed Facebook's business cards, and Mark and I had this relationship where, you know, he's like, he's very idealistic of Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs kind of was known for like belittling his employees. So like we would be on the couch in one of the rooms at a meeting, and we'd be talking about design stuff, and he'd be like, I'd ask him why he would do something, and he was like, "Cause I'm CEO, bitch," and I'm like, "Okay, because he's CEO, bitch," in my notes. So I designed the cards for everybody in the company, and it wasn't that many people. It was like 70, 90 cards at the time. And then I got to his, and then I was like typing in his title, and I'm like, "Oh, CEO, I'm CEO, bitch." And then he came and he looked at it, and he's like, "Okay." Okay, so we got them printed, and 6 months later they had to be retracted because we couldn't go to like Microsoft and give them the card that says "I'm CEO, bitch" on them.
Damn it!
Couldn't really be taken seriously, but yeah, that would be something obscure that you wouldn't know by seeing me. I have
That's
a lot
really
of
awesome.
stories. I have a lot of them.
Awesome.
Wow.
I used to
Actually
do
pretty awesome.
I used to do gala parades and wear big fluffy dresses and do poise competitions.
What?
How clumsy
You don't do
I
them
am.
anymore?
Shocking. No, I kind of stopped when I was about 15. It was, yeah, it was weird, but it was really good. We used to raise money for charity, and I didn't fall over once. Didn't fall over once. That's awkward.
And then I see Spoonie, Reaper with the quirky,
Really
unique.
unimpressive.
I mean, you don't have to try to top Brian or anything, but that wasn't really cool.
Mine's just literally.
Oh, good, because I was very concerned.
I can take my
Banana.
index finger and my pinky finger and do this. That's all I
Whoa.
got. That's my.
Wait, can you do that slow
and I
motion?
like to make a face out of it. Yeah. So I just have my pinky finger and my index finger. I can just put my middle finger through without them breaking contact. I don't know why I've always been able to do it.
That's really hard to do. Oh my god. Are you guys trying it at home? Do that
Show me
again?
again.
Wait, what was it again?
You can't. Okay, so
I don't think my fingers can do the thing.
it's because my pinky is actually.
That's why. Yeah. All right. Okay. We figured it out. We have officially broken Brian.
I have a double jointed pinky, so you just take your pinky finger and your index finger and you connect them together like this.
Oh, well, so basically, us regular jointed people need not apply, is what you're
And
saying.
then you bend it down and then
Mine-
you push it through.
My fingers
No.
keep detaching.
Nope.
Well,
Nope. My fingers are not that good.
well, there you
I
go.
don't know why, but I've always been able to do that.
Talent spooning.
That's really cool,
Figure this
actually.
out.
Oh, at
Reaper?
least that leaves me. Yeah.
With my hands.
So for me, this is something that most people IRL I tell about, but what you wouldn't know is that I have talked about this on stream lately. Is I some of you may know what this is. I have Asperger's syndrome, which basically means that I'm lightly autistic, and it's a full range. And so I was diagnosed at the age of 6, and part of, for anybody who knows kind of what it's like for kids growing up on the spectrum there, one of the things that I really struggled with for most of my life, ironically, was public speaking. Skills like reading body language of people, making eye contact, or even just being comfortable and coming up with stuff on the fly. And that's something that's taken years of my life to work through. You know, literally. I mean, middle school, high school, we knew, I knew what it was, and I knew what I needed to work through. So that's been a whole process. But the fact that, you know, I went through and I ended up, you know, graduating with a communications degree, media communications in college. And, you know, now I'm actually doing, you know, I've done work, and then of course I'm doing things on Twitch as in a public speaking role, and it's something that I'm really comfortable with. And most people wouldn't know that. And it's, you know, it's still something that is a daily existence for me. Like, if for people who know what to look for, you know, people notice. And it's still, you know, it's part of me. But it's kind of a fun quirk, but it also is just, I look at people who deal with her like being outsiders, or people who deal with, you know, struggles like that. And I've always been of the belief that people like that should not be marginalized, because you'll be amazed if you give somebody who is typically an outsider, who they have like real struggles. I mean, I had to go through a lot of years to work through things. Give people dedication and time, you would be amazed at the sort of things that people who are who deal with, you know, I'm going to use this term, and I don't necessarily like the word disability personally, but people who have, you know, social disabilities, even, you know, and I've known in my life people that have a lot of physical disabilities too. I've known a couple people with cerebral palsy who were incredible, brilliant, just bigger than life human beings. And so that's kind of just my story. And I see it all the time, and it's just, I mean, that's who I am, and it's kind of fun to kind of share my story and also see so many people around me that have made something of themselves and of their life despite what they had to go through. And it kind of made them stronger on the other end. So that's just me rambling, but that's kind of my thing.
Awesome. Very admirable. Very admirable. So there you go, guys. It kind of gives you a glimpse into all of us. Tashner, did you want to change your quirk? You didn't want to change it, right?
Me?
Because you
I
said
have
you
several quirks.
books and rock climbing, but you already talked about those.
Well, the gala thing where I had to
yeah,
like
that one. Okay.
cover
Completely
crushes
forgot.
and not fall down.
Well, there you go. There you go. So, that just shows you that all of us are just like you guys. You know, we're just because we're streaming and we have viewers and stuff doesn't mean that we're any more special or different than you guys are. So, I guess it just illustrates that, you know, if you put your mind to it, you work hard. I mean, you can be a streamer too. And you know, overcoming things like self-motivation issues and public speaking, performance anxiety, all that we talked about tonight, you know, they're very real things that all of us have experienced. And so hopefully this podcast helped you out at least a little bit with your own personal situation and stuff. So any other last comments before we wrap this up? No, not really.
No, I think we're good.
This was good. This was a very good podcast. Thank you guys for an amazing discussion. And again, if you're not already following everybody on the team, please do. If you want to see who we are, you can type !podcast, which I'm typing in chat there for you. So follow all of us, follow everybody else on the team. We all do dances and stuff too, and stuff like that. So definitely worth checking out, everybody. I love all these people.
Are we dancers? I know it's not dancer. I'm gonna make Brian walk off again.
Brian's gonna walk off. There he goes. Oh, so good. So good.
The cavalry's here.
But yeah, so if you love the team, great thing for us to talk about. The panel. So thank you, Dylan, for reminding me. So if you're going to be at TwitchCon, our team does have a panel coming up that we're going to be talking about teams. So it's going to feature myself, Tess, Lynx, Kira Corellia, Tashnar, and Spoonie. So these two will be on it. These guys will be in the audience. So if you want to at least see us in person, please do come to the panel and support us. And Diz will be there, my boyfriend. So definitely come hang out and look forward to the panel. Twitch Teams 101. So get excited. Get excited. So
I'm very excited.
Get hype.
get hyped. There you
Snowy
go.
hype.
Snowy hype. But in any case, guys, we are wrapping the panel up here. Much love to everybody who hung out and joined the discussion and listened in and all that good stuff. But yeah, that's really about it. Have a good night, guys. Make sure you follow everybody on the team. And yeah, guess everybody can wave and make hearts and all that good stuff. You guys are amazing. But take care. Take care, guys. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.